of the Disney World Series welcomes you to the 1988 All-Star Game.
I don't care if I never get back, so it's root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes you're out at the all-ball game. Wow!
And now, to honor this great country, we proudly present our Star-Spangled Salute to America.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for and the waves of rain, for purple mountain majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on me, and from thy goodwill brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Rivers belong where they can ramble, eagles belong where they can fly. I've got to be where my spirit can run free. America, America. Rivers belong where they can ramble, eagles belong where they can fly. I've got to be where my spirit can run free. America, you're beautiful and you're mine.
We salute you, America!
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the American League trainers, coaches, and non-starters. The trainers. From the Milwaukee Brewers, John Adam. And from the Boston Red Sox, Charlie Moss. In the American League bullpen, from the Minnesota Twins, Rick Stelmazik. Dick Such. Batting practice coaches, also from the Minnesota Twins, Rick Rennick. Wayne Terwilliger. The American League coaches from the Milwaukee Brewers, Tom Treblehorn. And from the Texas Rangers, Bobby Valentine. Now the American League non-starters. From the Boston Red Sox, pitcher Roger Clemens. Outfielder Mike Greenwell. From the California Angels, infielder Johnny Ray. From the Chicago White Sox, injured and unable to play in tonight's game, shortstop Ozzie Guillen. From the Cleveland Indians, pitcher Doug Jones. From the Detroit Tigers, he was elected by fans to start tonight's game, but is unable to play because of an injury, shortstop Alan Trammell. Also from the Tigers, pitcher Doyle Alexander. From the Kansas City Royals, shortstop Kurt Stillwell. First baseman George Brett. Pitcher Mark Gubicza. From the Milwaukee Brewers, pitcher Dan Plesac. From the Minnesota Twins, third baseman Gary Gaetti. Catcher Tim Laudner. Outfielder Kirby Puckett. Pitcher Jeff Reardon. From the New York Yankees, first baseman Don Mattingly. From the Oakland Athletics, third baseman Carney Lansford. Pitcher Dennis Eckersley. From the Seattle Mariners, second baseman Harold Reynolds. From the Texas Rangers, pitcher Jeff Russell. And from the Toronto Blue Jays, pitcher Dave Stieb. And now the American League starters. Managing his first All-Star game from the world champion Minnesota Twins, Tom Kelly. Leading off, the all-time stolen base leader in New York Yankee history, number 24, center fielder Rickey Henderson. Batting second, his 39-game hitting streak last year was the 5th longest in Major League history. From the Milwaukee Brewers, number 4, second baseman Paul Molitor. Batting third, the only player in the last 50 years to collect 200 or more hits in 5 consecutive seasons. From the Boston Red Sox, number 26, third baseman Wade Boggs. Batting fourth, the only Oakland Athletics player to have consecutive 100 RBI seasons, number 33, left fielder Jose Canseco. Batting fifth and making his 12th consecutive All-Star appearance, a 7-time Gold Glove winner from the New York Yankees, number 31, right fielder Dave Winfield. Batting sixth, making his 5th consecutive start for the American League, from the Baltimore Orioles, number 8, shortstop Cal Ripken. Batting seventh, last year's American League Rookie of the Year and home run champion from the Oakland Athletics, number 25, first baseman Mark McGwire. Batting eighth, the only Oakland catcher to be elected by fans to start in an All-Star game, number 36, Terry Steinbach. And in the bullpen, warming up, batting ninth, the 1987 World Series MVP from the Minnesota Twins, number 16, Frank Viola. And now let's meet the National League trainers, coaches, and non-starters. Steve Garland. And from the Cincinnati Reds, Larry Starr. The batting practice coaches from the St. Louis Cardinals, Rich Hacker, Johnny Lewis, Nick Leyba. The National League coaches from the San Francisco Giants, Roger Craig. And from the Montreal Expos, Buck Rogers. Now the National League non-starters. From the Atlanta Braves, first baseman Gerald Perry. From the Chicago Cubs, third baseman Vance Law. Shortstop Sean Dunston. Outfielder Rafael Palmeiro. Pitcher Greg Maddux. From the Cincinnati Reds, shortstop Barry Larkin. Third baseman Chris Sabo. Pitcher Danny Jackson. From the Houston Astros, pitcher Bob Nepper. From the Los Angeles Dodgers, pitcher Oral Hershiser. From the Montreal Expos, first baseman Andres Galarraga. From the New York Mets, pitcher David Cone. From the Philadelphia Phillies, catcher Lance Parrish. Pitcher Kevin Gross. From the Pittsburgh Pirates, pitcher Bob Walk. Outfielder Andy Van Slyke. From the St. Louis Cardinals, pitcher Todd Worrell. Outfielder Willie McGee. And from the San Diego Padres, pitcher Mark Davis. And now the National League starters. Managing his third All-Star game from the St. Louis Cardinals, number 24, Whitey Herzog. Leading off for the National League, a three-time National League base-stealing champion from the St. Louis Cardinals, number 29, left fielder Vince Coleman. Batting second, winner of 5 consecutive Gold Glove Awards from the Chicago Cubs, number 23, second baseman Ryne Sandberg. Batting third, the National League's 1987 Most Valuable Player from the Chicago Cubs, number 8, center fielder Andre Dawson. Batting fourth, the National League leading home run hitter with 21 so far this season from the New York Mets, number 18, right fielder Darryl Strawberry. Batting fifth, the National League's Player of the Month for both April and May this year from the Pittsburgh Pirates, number 25, third baseman Bobby Bonilla. Batting sixth, the National League leader in RBIs with 68 this season from the San Francisco Giants, number 22, Will Clark. Batting seventh, twice voted the All-Star Game's most valuable player in 1981 and 84 from the New York Mets, number 8, catcher Gary Carter. Batting eighth, the top vote getter in the fan balloting for the second straight year from the St. Louis Cardinals, number 1, shortstop Ozzie Smith. In the bullpen, warming up, batting ninth, the National League's 1985 Rookie of the Year and 1986 Cy Young Award winner from the New York Mets, number 16, pitcher Dwight Gooden. Now to introduce tonight's honorary captains. Representing the American League, an 8-time All-Star whose uniform number 1 was retired earlier this year by the Boston Red Sox, with whom he played for 14 seasons. The man Ted Williams called the silent captain of the Red Sox. He was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1986. He compiled a lifetime batting average of .288 and drove in 100 runs in a season 6 times. Introducing the American League honorary captain, Bobby Doerr. Now for the National League. In 21 seasons with the Pittsburgh Pirates, he batted .282 with a club record 475 home runs. A 7-time All-Star. He was named the National League Co-MVP, the League Championship Series MVP, and the World Series MVP in 1979. He was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame last January and will be inducted July 31st in ceremonies at Cooperstown, New York. Introducing the National League honorary captain, Willie Stargell. Now, to honor the 2 great nations in which National League baseball is played, we are pleased to present Larry Gatlin and the Gatlin brothers, who, in the spirit of friendship, present the national anthems of the United States and Canada.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love is all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for
And now, to honor America, the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Jam-packed Riverfront Stadium, awaiting the start of the 59th All-Star Game. We'll be back.
People who care what they eat are learning some surprising things about calories. One surprising thing is that the white meat you see here contains fewer calories than anything else on the plate. But the most surprising thing is that this white meat is pork. Pork, the other white meat.
An ABC News brief. Now from Washington, Ted Koppel. Good evening. Democrats appear to be generally pleased by today's announcement from Michael Dukakis that he's picked Texas Senator Lloyd Bentsen to be his running mate. Jesse Jackson said he's too mature to be angry and expects to support the party's ticket. More on the Democrats later on Nightline. Greek authorities today released photographs of 4 suspects in yesterday's attack on a Greek cruise ship that told from the attack 9 dead, at least 98 injured. That's Newsbreak.
Sir? Sir, you're at Wendy's pickup window? Just pulled in for the new express pack. You know, quarter-pound single with the works, fries, soft drink at a great price. Sir, you don't have a car. Oh, you know, that's what they told me when I went through the car wash.
Pick up the new express pack at Wendy's, the best burgers in the business.
Get your Wendy's Express Pack. A single hamburger, regular fries, and a medium soft drink for only $2.49. But hurry, this offer is for a limited time only and only at Wendy's pickup window.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's it.
It's over. We have nothing in common.
Never agreed on one thing. Ever.
Great. I'm too good for him.
I can do better.
I need to find someone
more like me.
When you find something you have so much in common with, something so unique, so refreshing,
Hi.
You just can't stop yourself from grabbing it and holding on to it forever.
This is WAND TV.
Now Michael's back in Cincinnati, and now on to the game. The 4th time it's been played in the Queen City of the West. The National League has won the prior 3, and of course they've dominated in recent years, winning 22 of the last 25. From time to time tonight, we'll have interviews with the players, with Gary Bender and with Joe Morgan. Earlier, they talked to the top vote getters. First, Gary.
With me, the top vote getter in the American League squad, Jose Canseco of the Oakland Athletics. Jose, a second time on the squad, but as a rookie you didn't play, but tonight a starting job.
Yeah, I think tonight basically is going to be the most exciting All-Star game. I mean, if I am in the future, basically because I did lead the American League in votes, and you know, I'm going to get a starting job today and hopefully get a couple at bats and thrill some people down in Miami.
Jose, there's been a lot of talk about you could become the first in Major League history to achieve the 40-40, 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases.
This year I'm basically halfway. I do have the 24 home runs and 23 stolen bases, and I think with my ability this year, if I just stay healthy, stay consistent, I think I can achieve it this year.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
Let's go now to a guy who was a 10-time All-Star. Here's Joe Morgan.
Thank you, Gary. I'm here with Ozzie Smith, the leading vote getter for this year's All-Star team. Ozzie, you've been the leading vote getter from the fans the last 2 years. But do you feel that the fans' voting should be the last word on who starts the All-Star team?
Well, Joe, I think that when you have the managers and the players or coaches vote, you're going to get a marked difference in who starts and who doesn't. But it's the one way that I think that fans can have a say. The majority of fans can have a say in who they see during the All-Star break. And if we take that away from them, then I think we take away from their participation in the game. And this is really a fan's game, and they choose who they want to see. So here we are.
I agree with you, Ozzie. Thank you. And back to the booth with you, Al.
All right, thank you, Joe. And as we mentioned, the National League has been recently dominant. And series-wise, that's the way it stands. 37-20-1. The start when we come back. The 59th All-Star Game. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by the Heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. By Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By AT&T, the right choice. And by America's pork producers. Pork, the other white meat.
This summer, there are a lot of movies to choose from, but only one real adventure movie, Die Hard. During the course of the game, stay tuned for an announcement about the movie spectacle of the summer, Die Hard, from 20th Century Fox.
When you need tools, any kind of tools, for every kind of job, one name gives you more good choices than any other. Craftsman.
If you're a business person and you're making a long-distance call, to call your customer, to call your supplier, before you hit that 11th digit, we've mapped out that entire call across the network, irrespective of where you're calling. You've got 21 different paths to get there. Okay, that's important from a reliability point of view. We've checked the quality of the circuit you're going to be on before you actually start speaking. We've done a service check. We're actually doing 75 million service checks per day, because that's how many calls we complete. I don't think most people realize that.
A special feature's coming your way from Domino's Pizza to ruin the Noise Day. It's a really big show, so don't be late. 2 regular cheese pizzas for just $8.88. Pay a bit more for toppings. It's all hot and fresh, because it's at your door in 30 minutes or less. Hurry, this won't last forever. Savings like these may be now or never. Domino's Pizza delivers savings.
Ah, the joys of getting ready for summer vacation. So much to fit in, so many details to remember. That's why it's nice to know Holiday Inn hotels are always there, with everything you want in a vacation hotel. Now with summer great rates, enjoy it all for only $29, $39, or $49. But get going, rooms are limited. Call now for summer great rates at a great vacation hotel.
4 times 6. 24. 4 times 7.
Get up and go. The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
A spectacular shot at sunset. There's still some natural light since Cincinnati is at the far western end of the eastern time zone. So still some natural light, but there it is, that sparkling jewel, Riverfront Stadium, which opened in 1970. It had been opened 2 weeks prior to the 1970 All-Star Game. And just moments ago, the ceremonial first pitch, and in town to toss it, the Vice President of the United States, George Bush, the old left-hander. And the Yaley throwing one into the mid of Gary Carter. The lineup again for the American League, with Ricky Henderson leading off, and then Paul Molitor at second. Wade Boggs bats third. Jose Canseco is the cleanup hitter. Dave Winfield in right. Ripken replacing the injured Trammell as the starting shortstop. Mark McGuire at first. Terry Steinbach bats eighth. And Frank Viola, who might get a chance to hit tonight. And the last time Frank hit would have been back at the World Series against the St. Louis Cardinals. And Dwight Gooden goes to the mound. It's the second time he has started an All-Star game. He started in Houston in 1986. The inside pitch on Gooden from the Giants, Will Clark.
Dwight Gooden throws a hard fastball, usually in the 95-mile-an-hour range. He has a big sweeping curveball that, if he has control of, he's tough to beat. He also has a changeup, but he doesn't throw it much. The only time he throws it is to left-handers. The key to Dwight is he going to have control of his curveball, and if he does, he's tough to beat.
So Clark talking about Gooden as you look at the American League bench, and as Tim mentioned, more than half of the 56 on both rosters playing in an All-Star game for the first time. And a look into the National League dugout, Oral Hershiser and Bob Knepper and Danny Jackson. And defensively, it's Vince Coleman in left. Now, Andre Dawson and Darryl Strawberry are both right fielders, but Dawson moves over for the All-Star game to center. The infield, Bonilla at third, Ozzie at short, Sandberg is the second baseman, and the Giants' Clark is at first. Gary Carter does the catching, and he may catch for a while tonight because Lance Parrish, his backup, has been bothered by a bad back, so we could see Carter in for most, if not all, of the game. And so the All-Star game ready to begin, and it begins in a funny way with Ricky Henderson leading off against Dwight Gooden, both their teams in pennant races, and if indeed there's a Subway Series between the Mets and the Yankees, this is the way the first game of the World Series could begin. Gooden to Henderson, missing outside, ball one, 1-0. Ricky's been bothered by injuries of late, but still stealing bases at a clip which would net him around 80 for the season. He has 42 at the break. 2 balls and no strikes. And Gooden behind now, 3-0.
Well, a walk's a double. And when you think of Ricky Henderson, I think of the 130 stolen bases back in 1982. You get a lot of good pitches to hit once you fall behind Henderson as a pitcher, because you don't want to walk him.
3-1 the count on Ricky, who leads off, and Henderson is on. So Ricky Henderson with 42 steals despite the gimpy leg, and he's missed a lot of time, is at first base. And Whitey Herzog, who knows all about speed, will now watch Gooden, who has trouble holding runners on, face Molitor with Henderson at first base.
Jim, you may know the exact numbers, but 2 weeks ago, I think it was like 23 out of 26 stolen base attempts with Gooden and Carter catching and pitching.
And the New York Mets lead the major leagues in stolen bases against them. Right around 120 now against the Carter catching or Mackey Sasser catching, Barry Lyons, and the pitching staff of the Mets.
Molitor takes a strike and the count 0-1. On the other side of the coin, the success against the Mets is the fact that Henderson is really taking a look at Gooden, not for the first time necessarily, but he really doesn't know Dwight. He doesn't see that much of him. And Gooden drives him back.
That's one of the big reasons that pitchers in all-star games usually have the advantage, because hitters haven't seen the pitchers enough to really know what kind of style they have, not only their move, but how they deliver the ball to the plate.
There he goes. He gets a huge jump, and it's a chopper foul outside third. He had second stolen easily and maybe third with that break.
Well, you consider the curveball as the pitch, which gives you a little bit more time, and you look at an excellent jump by Henderson. The one thing that Gooden allows base runners to do is get a good jump because of the high leg kick. Most pitchers in both the American and National League, as you look at Ricky coast into second knowing that he would have stolen the base if Molitor had not fouled off, most pitchers have gone with that slide step to try to get the ball to catcher a little bit quicker to give him an opportunity to throw out the runners.
No balls, 2 strikes, and this time he stays, and it's grounded right down to Clark. He goes to Smith 1, back to Clark, double play. So after going on the previous pitch, he stays put, and the National League turns a 3-6-3 double play.
The National League with an abundance of excellent fielding first basemen. Will Clark, Andres Galarraga, a member of the National League squad, Keith Hernandez, of course. They're making the 3-6-3 double play a rather routine way of getting 2.
Wade Boggs takes a strike, and that's anything but routine when you turn a 3-6-3 with Henderson running and Molitor hitting. Wade Boggs of the Red Sox, 4 batting titles under his belt, and maybe a 5th in there. And the count is 0-2. He's tops in the majors right now at .355, and his lifetime average when this season began was .354. And Gooden's 0-2 pitch is outside, 1-2. For Boggs, it's been a tremendous accomplishment with what's been going on off the field. The palimony suit filed against him has gotten tremendous publicity. And yet here he is leading the league in hitting and whacking one into left field for a base hit. So Boggs is on with a 2-out single, Wade at first base. And we'll bring up Jose Canseco.
The key to getting a ball by Ozzie Smith is to hit the ball hard. You're seeing reaction of Ozzie about as quick as they come. He makes the dive, or at least the attempted dive and stab, and the ball is hit on the nose into left field for a base hit.
Now Canseco with 24 homers. And Gary Bender before the game talking about the possibility of joining the 40-40 club. He'd be the first ever with 40 homers and 40 steals. 0-1 the count. Boggs at first with 2 down. And Canseco takes outside. So Canseco having a real good season. His partner in crime last year, Mark McGuire, is in the lineup, but McGuire really in the lineup based on last year's numbers more than anything else. Canseco is deservedly here as the cleanup hitter. Missing away in the count 1-2-1.
And Jose talked about 50-50. Somebody said, that's real tough to do. He said, okay, I'll settle for 40-40. He said it's very unusual for large people to run as fast as he does, especially Latin players.
The 2-1 is in the dirt, and the count now 3 balls and 1 strike. With Boggs at first base and 2 out in the first inning. All-Star game just underway at Cincinnati.
And Al, he's made himself such a better outfielder. It seems that he was much more mature, much more conscious at the plate of not trying to different stances. Last year it seemed like he had 101 different stances, one for every occasion.
It looks like he's more closed now than he was in the first 2 years when he came up. Rookie of the year in '86.
Chased it, and the count 3-2.
Of course, we saw the inside pitch from Will Clark, and what he talked about was the 95-mile-per-hour fastball, but what he failed to say is you have to lay off the high fastball to be successful against Dwight Gooden. You see it well, but very difficult to hit. Great movement up in that zone.
Boggs goes on the 3-2 pitch, and it's popped in the air to right field. Strawberry is there, and the American League gone in the first. At the end of the half, the American League nothing, and the National League coming up.
The Clydesdales, the symbol of Budweiser quality, of Beechwood aging, the choicest natural ingredients, and a genuine commitment to freshness and taste. One beer lives up to all this. Budweiser.
On Friday, July 15th, brace yourself for an adventure that will blow you through the back wall of the theater. Die Hard, exclusive engagement in 70mm 6-track Dolby Stereo, rated R.
Exclusive engagement begins this Friday in selected cities.
And back in Cincinnati for the All-Star game with Frank Viola on the mound for the American League facing this National League lineup. Vince Coleman leading off, Ryan Sandberg hitting second. And then Andre Dawson hits third. Strawberry, the cleanup batter. Bonilla hitting fifth. Will Clark sixth. Gary Carter in the 7th spot. Ozzie Smith 8th. And Dwight Gooden batting 9th. And let's get the inside pitch on Frank Viola from the New York Yankees, Dave Winfield.
Frank Viola of the Twins, the top left-hander in the American League, not only in terms of numbers, but the players would agree also. Has a good move to first base, holds runners tight, works the corners, a good fastball. He can come inside or outside, good curve, and the pitch that'll get you out on is that changeup.
And back of Frank Viola defensively for the American League All-Stars. Canseco is normally a right fielder. He plays left. Henderson has been playing left. He moves to center. Winfield stays home in right. He's the senior member out there. Then in the infield, you've got Wade Boggs at third, Cal Ripken starting in place of Trammell at short. Paul Molitor now is a DH and has been a third baseman for years, but he was on the ballot at second, and there he is. And Mark McGuire plays first. Terry Steinbach does the catching. Frank Viola on the mound, and the switch hitting Vince Coleman of the St. Louis Cardinals to lead off. No score in the bottom of the first inning with Coleman, Sandberg, and Dawson. Vince, 275 average and 45 steals, swinging and missing, and the count is 0-1. So Whitey Herzog with his National League champions mired in 5th place, but still represented by 2 starters. And they also have McGee and Worrell here on the bench. Lifted to center. Ricky Henderson used to play there. Makes the catch. 1 away. And Ryan Sandberg will come up. If you're a pitcher and you dream about pitching in big games and you thought about 3 games you could start, wouldn't you think about starting the first game of the World Series, the 7th game of the World Series, and the All-Star game 1, 2, 3, that's exactly what he's done over the past 9 months.
You'd also think about winning them. Now, he hasn't done that yet, but he did win the 1st and the 7th, and I think that was the big game in his career because he said, used his changeup early, the Cardinals got hit, he went to his fastball and was successful.
Off speed to Sandberg for a strike.
He has 3 great pitches. And Dave Winfield talked about the changeup, but what sets up the changeup is his outstanding fastball and that big curveball you just saw.
Ooh, fooled him again, and the count 0-2.
And as you said, Timmy, when you don't get to see a guy like Viola, you really don't know what to look for. And they may not see him very often, maybe 2 times at the most.
This time a fastball is fouled away. Still 0-2.
Frank is the first pitcher to start an All-Star game from Minnesota since 1967 when Dean Chance, the right-hander, and the first Minnesota pitcher to appear in an All-Star game since 1973 when Bert Blyleven.
Still 0-2. Well, the Twins have been short shrifted for years, and there is Tom Kelly, the manager. He's brought his coaching staff here. He has 5 Twins, and he could have had a 6th, but Ken Herbeck said last year that he wasn't going to come because he wasn't selected last season. He felt he was slighted. And the Twins making a move again in the West, so they were short-circuited over the weekend by Milwaukee. 1-2 the count on Sandberg.
Well, that's one of the great luxuries as a starting manager. You get to start a guy that's 14-2, well-rested, pitched last Wednesday. So not his regular day, but very much close to it.
That's line foul. Out in front again, so it remains a ball and 2 strikes. The All-Star managers are so designated because their teams won the pennant in the prior season. And there's Whitey Herzog. The National League has only lost 3 games in the last 25 years, but Whitey's had the misfortune to manage the team on 2 of those occasions. 2-2.
And no National League managers ever lost 3 games in the All-Star game. So the heat's on Whitey.
Does he look worried? Doesn't he look concerned there?
2-2 the count. And Sandberg fights it off. So still 2-2. And on deck is Andre Dawson. So Cubs back-to-back, and there are 6 Cubs on the All-Star team.
You know, the amazing thing about starting an All-Star game is invariably it may be the most difficult lineup you will ever face. Certainly was in a lot of my games. At least I perceived it as such.
The good news is you only have to go around once.
That's right.
And down he goes. Viola working in and out, off speed, and an occasional fastball, and strikes him out looking. 2 gone.
Again, we talked about the changeup, but here's the fastball. Right where Terry Steinbach is sitting. And when you hit the glove, more chances or not, you get the pitch. Again, when you've set it up, and as an umpire, when you see the pitcher moving in and out and the catcher moving in and out, you make it a lot easier for him.
So 2 gone, bases empty, and Andre Dawson, whose .308 average is the highest among National League starters. 1-0. It's interesting that Dawson would have the best average, and he's only 7th in the league in hitting. So the top 6 are either on the bench or not here. Andres Galarraga leads the league at .338. In there for a strike. 1-1.
As a matter of fact, the extra men on both ball clubs have a better batting average than the starters.
That's popped up and out of play. In a way, that's not that unusual because the fans do the voting for the starters, and a lot of times you vote with your heart. And then after the fans are through, the managers and the league presidents say, okay, give me the stat sheet. Where is that guy hitting .330?
Andres Galarraga, a prime example.
Dawson fouling it away, and still a ball and 2 strikes the count.
Dave Winfield talking on the inside pitch about how Viola likes to come inside. It's interesting that Winfield would say that because Dave likes the ball out over the plate. And the first thing he said about Viola is that he'll come inside.
As he did to strike Sandberg out. And here Dawson pops it up in foul ground. Steinbach comes all the way back but runs out of room. So
So still 1 ball and 2 strikes to count, and you saw Frank Pulley, the plate umpire. 6 umpires working this game. With Pulley at the plate, Larry Barnett of the American League at first, Terry Tata, National second. There they are, Dale Ford at third. Randy Morris from the National League down the line in left, and Dan Morrison down the line in right. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count on Dawson. Viola gets him to swing out in front, and it's grounded to third, and Boggs over to McGuire to set him down 1, 2, 3. At the end of 1 in the All-Star game at Cincy, no score.
Oh, that one's gone.
Good times are back again. The Shack is back.
You know, I'm always shooting myself with those darn poison-tipped crossbow darts.
Caddyshack 2, rated PG, starts Friday, July 22nd.
Sundown, Luke. I'm calling you out. Luke.
Since 1896, some men have preferred to spend their nights in more rewarding pursuits.
Luke.
Shouldn't your night belong to Michelob Light?
Luke.
Chevy S10 invites you to own the street with the biggest engine ever offered in a compact pickup. The most V6 power and torque available in a compact truck. And a price to make your heart beat faster than ever.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
If you're ever in a jam, here I am.
If you're ever in a mess, SOS.
And if you ever just need a little company,
Count on me.
friendship, friendship, just the perfect little friendship.
No other friendship may fuss and fight. Ours will be alright. Every Friday night.
We've seen a few blimp shots in our time. That is spectacular. That's almost like a painting. As you look down into Riverfront Stadium on the banks of the Ohio from the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise, which hovers above downtown. This stadium sits on the riverbank, the Ohio River, and across the river, the Commonwealth of Kentucky. The All-Star game. He'll remember it forever. Second inning, no score. And here's Dave Winfield to lead off, and he goes after the first pitch and grounds it to Ozzie Smith. Over to Clark for the out. 1 pitch, 1 gone in the second inning. And it will bring up Cal Ripken. Alan Trammell having a sensational season with the Tigers, and he would have been the starting shortstop. He's in uniform, was introduced, hopes to come off the disabled list shortly, but he has that bad contusion on his elbow, and so it's Ripken getting the start.
It's not too shabby a shortstop. Started off horrendously this year along with the Orioles, who lost 21 games to start the season, but as you can see, he's no stranger to all-star games, and for obvious reasons can hit, good fielder.
And on the bench, and that's where he'll have to stay, is Alan Trammell with that left elbow.
Hit by Todd Stottlemyre, who throws extremely hard.
And then he came back a couple of nights later and hit a grand slam to beat the Yankees, but it acted up again, and he had to go on to DL.
As a matter of fact, the American League has 2 shortstops on the ailing list. Ozzie Guillen of the Chicago White Sox also unable to play.
Also hit by a pitch.
Yeah.
He said, I'm too little to get hit and then play in an all-star game.
2-0 pitch, a strike. It's a real shame when you get named to the team, and there is Guillen representing the White Sox, and I know how terrible Robbie Thompson of the Giants must feel with that pinched nerve. He's had back problems for a long time, and they've acted up, and he can't be here. And his teammate Rick Russell got married during the All-Star break, so he's not here either. Ozzie Smith over to Clark for the out. So Winfield and Ripken both ground to short. 2 gone. Base is empty. Second inning in a scoreless game as Mark McGuire comes up. McGuire, the rookie, splashed last year with the Oakland A's with 49 home runs. Streaky kind of year for him here, and they'll need him to get hot in the second half as the Twins and the Royals try to nip away at the A's lead. In for a strike, 0-1.
He had 20 first pitch home runs last year out of those 49 home runs, so the pitchers have definitely adjusted. There's some talk in the American League what they've tried to do, and he was beamed earlier in the year. They have tried to throw inside and then try to establish the outside part of the plate, and he's had some problems with that.
Fouled away.
That was an inside fastball right there. And this is a game that certainly illustrates why you have to pitch power hitters inside. Almost all power hitters like to extend their arms. Gooden ties up McGuire. Canseco the same way, I understand. And Strawberry certainly like that. Andre Dawson like that. The problem is when you miss inside, your mistake is a home run. You miss away, it's a single.
Gooden couldn't figure out where he missed with that last pitch. It's 2-2. And now it's 3-2 on McGuire.
Well, Dwight has the luxury, and we've seen him on the first week. He got Winfield out with a curveball. He got Ripken out with a fastball. He throws so hard, it's tough to catch up.
Throws him a breaking pitch. And down goes McGuire. And at the end of 1.5, no score.
What's that? He's got our flashlights. Over there.
Good, Monkey. But I said Bud Light.
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
So hard to get good help.
DuPont knows you want to keep your home beautiful, down to that beautiful new carpet. But there are always a few snags. So DuPont developed Certified Stainmaster Carpet. Now even stains this ugly clean up this beautifully. There's only one Stainmaster. DuPont Certified Stainmaster.
While other airlines have prohibited smoking on flights under 2 hours, only Northwest has eliminated smoking on all flights throughout North America.
Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Northwest, Northwest, Northwest.
Every time we see an all-star game, I keep thinking about that old line, deep depth. Who was it, Yogi or somebody who came up with that? But there's deep depth. Kirby Puckett, a bench warmer, at least at the start. Darryl Strawberry to lead off in the bottom of the second inning, leading the National League in home runs, and 11 of those 21 have come against left-handers. 1-1, so he'll dig in against Viola to be followed by Bonilla and Clark. One and two.
And he's on a 2-for-26 streak, so he hasn't been hitting very well, and I think a lot of that reason Keith Hernandez is not in the lineup. Pitching right around him and inside to him. Of course, that is the weakness, I suppose. This year, he's had such an outstanding year. If you do not get the ball up and in, or down and away, he's going to have a home run swing as you take a look at a ball that he just barely nicks up and in as Viola runs it there.
And he grounds it down to second. And that's Molitor back at his old position, throwing out Strawberry. Bobby Bonilla coming up, and Bonilla's story a most interesting one. Growing up in the South Bronx, and originally signed by the Pirates, and there was Bobby at the age of 10 and sent over to the White Sox, and then Sid Thrift got him back. He came back to Pittsburgh, and he's done a tremendous job for the Pirates this year. He grounds the first pitch down to Ripken, who throws him out, and Frank Viola has set down 5 straight. So 2 gone quickly in the second inning, and it will bring up Will Clark. Speaking of deep depth, is George Brett on that bench?
Let's see, we saw Puckett 350, Brett sitting 330. I mean, boy, this is a great team to manage. And they can play defense. And I think that is one thing that the American League, as you said, Al's lost 22 out of the last 25. They have tried to come up with a ball club, as you see a high fastball right by Will Clark, that can contend with the National League speed late in the ball game.
Clark, the Giants' first baseman, taking high. And for Will, what a tremendous thrill, and that is his nickname, Will the Thrill. But what a thrill to be on a National League All-Star team with your college teammate, Rafael Palmeiro. They hit 3 and 4 for the Bulldogs for 3 years.
The number 5 hitter in that lineup, Bobby Thigpen, who was an outfielder, and now he has 18 saves for the Chicago White Sox.
Murderer's row in Starkville. The 1-2 pitch is fouled away. So 2 out, bases empty. No score, bottom of the 2nd inning.
Will and Rafi were telling me before the game that it was thunder, lightning, and rain. Bobby Thigpen.
It's looped down the line in left field, curling and just going foul. So still 1 ball and 2 strikes. With 2 out and the bases empty, bottom of the 2nd inning. Clark coming back, and Gary Carter on deck.
You talk about a hitter who combines power and contact. I don't think anybody in baseball has a prettier swing than Will Clark.
Well, that's why I asked you about Stan Musial. You played against him. Boy, I mean, I've seen some old reels of Stan. Look very much alike. When he hits the ball, it is beautiful. I mean, great extension. You didn't see it on that swing before because the ball was up and in, but when he gets the bat head out, and he hit 35 home runs last year.
There, of course, is so much more to hitting than beautiful swings. I think of a giant first baseman in the 70s by the name of Ed Goodson. Not a bad player, but not all-star caliber. That same gorgeous swing. And there's Gary Carter waiting on deck. But so many things go into the difference between a 300 hitter and a 250 hitter.
Strength and balance are 2.
That's hit on a hop and backhanded. Speared nicely by Ripken, who throws him out. And Frank Viola has set down 6 straight. We go to the 3rd with no score. Back in Cincinnati after this word from your local station.
Are you ready for some good TV? All is near and the time is right for watching ABC. Something's happening on ABC.
Black Rock, Nevada and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Black Rock means land sailing, riding the wind across dry desert lakes. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer. And smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light.
There's nothing like the flavor of a special place. And Old Milwaukee beer.
Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light.
You know, guys, it doesn't get any better than this.
They're here with a whole new act. The Grapevine Tour, only at Hardee's. Buy any 2 Rise and Shine biscuits or any dessert and collect an all-new California Raisin figurine for just 99 cents. A new rocker or roller each week. Collect all 6 only at Hardee's, because we're out to win you over.
More showers on the way, but how many? Find out after the ball game.
The 59th All-Star Game. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. One of the great Cincinnati landmarks in the foreground, the Central Trust Tower, and a look into Riverfront Stadium at the edge of downtown. The All-Star Game. Look at that shot. That's the Riverfront Coliseum, the indoor arena on the left, and the freeways which go by the stadium, the Ohio River, the bridges into Kentucky, and underneath the blimp, downtown Cincinnati. There's a drive into right field. It's back Strawberry all the way back, and it's out of his glove and over the wall for a home run. Terry Steinbach, the All-Star, who a lot of people said should not be here, hits a home run. Doesn't it figure?
Well, number 6 on the year, something that does not happen very often off Doc Gooden. He doesn't really catch up, but he likes the ball away, as you see the jubilation. 16 last year, 6 this year, but he did fracture his orbital bone earlier in the year. Take another look at it. And he got his hands in. You can see how strong he is. 6'5", Darryl Strawberry almost catches it. Looks like he almost gets it on the rebound.
Tipped his glove, off the top of the fence, and now Gary Gaetti bats for his teammate Viola. So Steinbach, and a lot of people felt he shouldn't be here. They thought there was some ballot box rigging in Oakland, and they punched out his name in an unfair manner. But on the other side is the fact that in the American League, there really isn't an outstanding catcher. As Gaetti swings and misses, and so he gets the call, and Laudner is the backup. Carlton Fisk has been hurt most of the year. And Steinbach, who said, hey, man, I'm just happy to be here. I thank the fans. And he thanks them again. No balls, 2 strikes. And it's 1-2.
And you also saw in the dugout the unusual style of congratulations that has become a trademark of the Oakland Athletics.
Gooden takes the one hopper, takes care of Gaetti. Gary gone, and Henderson is the batter.
You can't help but see a play like this and think of Dave Henderson. In the 1986, you and Jim were there. Game 5, actually, of the American League Championship Series.
In center
when
field.
Henderson had 2 2-run homers.
Right.
One that he hit with his bat, the other he hit with his glove.
That he dropped.
And here's the elbow bashing we were talking about. It's dangerous to shake hands on that ball club.
Hey, can you imagine if Kirk Gibson played with the A's? The whole team would be in surgery. 1-0 on Ricky Henderson, who drew a walk in the first inning. That's grounded to the hole and a base hit. So Henderson gets on for the second time. Remember, in the first inning he walked. He stayed put on the first pitch. Had a tremendous jump on the second on the foul ball, and stayed put and was the front end of a double play on the third. And there's Steinbach, last man to do it. Lee Mazzilli in '79 at the Kingdome in Seattle. A home run in his first All-Star game at bat.
He may be maligned because he's here, but he had a solid year. I mean, a guy that was converted from a third baseman to a catcher made the transition very well. Thrown out 48% of all runners trying to steal this year, so he's, as I said, been hurt, but now, of course, it's Gooden and Carter trying to throw out Henderson.
Ricky with his 42 steals, and again, he has missed a lot of time.
You know, I was talking to him about that, Al, and he said, you know, with Billy Martin managing early, he said a little more aggressive style, and that's why he sprained both ankles. Not to blame it on Billy, but just the aggressive style of playing.
Wide of third, short hop by Bonilla to second, and they force Henderson for the second out. So Bobby Bonilla ranging to his left. You know Bonilla can hit. The question a couple of years ago was, where do you play him? And he's found a home at third in Pittsburgh.
Well, he played the outfield. We know he can play first base, but then again, he's a good athlete. Switch hitter, just smothers it, knows he has to get the lead runner and does that. It's interesting that Molitor has not taken pitches either time up, but then again, he's not hitting in a custom second spot. Ball with 26 steals, only been thrown out 3 times, so I think most people think of Paul Molitor 39-game hitting streak, but he can do a lot of things: home runs, high batting average, and steal bases.
And so versatile. And again, he's a former second baseman, now a DH basically, and why not? In the year of the balk in the All-Star game, you've got to have a balk. I mean, you knew it was coming. It wouldn't be fair to go through this one without a balk.
Dwight Gooden had a look at Frank Pulley, and it's kind of the same look Whitey has, as if to say, I didn't think you'd be calling the All-Star game. It's got to be a discernible stop, and they have been calling it all year. And to be honest with you, I didn't think they would be as tough in the All-Star game on the balk situation.
I didn't either.
Say, why not?
Well, I figured that this is a microcosm of the season. We mentioned at the Open, the All-Star game reflects so many things about the year, so it's really appropriate. We'll have a balk tonight and then a suspension. We'll be right in tune.
What's interesting when you see Whitey Herzog smiling is a lot of people think because Bert Blyleven in last year's World Series did not have that discernible stop, Whitey got the Major League Rules Committee to make this rule. So maybe that's why he had that chagrin look on his face.
That's a line drive caught by Sandberg. Timed it perfectly off the bat of Boggs, who was bidding for his second hit. Steinbach's home run makes it 1-0 Americans after 2.5.
something about them you don't know. You know they're old favorites. You know they're delicious. And you know they're made with white meat. What you don't know is that the white meat they're made with isn't chicken. It's pork. Because even an old favorite can use a new twist.
Guys, but I've been waiting for a Bud Light.
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
Come on, let me show you the kitchen. You've seen the bedroom.
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
Chevy S10 invites you to own this real estate with the biggest engine ever offered in a compact 4x4. The most V6 power and torque available in a compact truck. V6 power to make your heart beat faster than ever.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
Gold medalists Edwin Moses, Carl Lewis, and more compete in the track and field trials. Plus the box offs in the U.S. Olympic trials on ABC's Wide World of Sports live Saturday.
In Cincinnati, Ohio, a city whose very name is synonymous with this sport, home of the Cincinnati Red Stockings in 1869. The last out of the third inning.
Well, that's how you win 5 consecutive Gold Gloves. Great range, jumping ability. Of course, that's also how you usually get 200 base hits. You stay with that low curveball and hit it right on the nose. But Sandberg saves the second run. As you look at Roger Clemens, you could throw also 6 shutouts in there. He has doubled Paul Kilgus down with Texas Ranger, who has 3. Viola with 2.
So Clemens working in the third inning on Gary Carter after Frank Viola works 2 perfect innings. Clemens comes out of the pen to face the bottom of the order. Carter, Smith, and then the pitcher's spot. We'll see what Herzog does as Carter swings and misses. Gooden has gone his 3. That's as far as he can go. So Whitey will hit for Gooden. There's no question about that. And we'll find out who it will be. And it appears to be Gerald Perry in the foreground there, lower right, bat in hand.
Roger Clemens pitched last Saturday night, 15 strikeouts and a no decision.
Against the White Sox.
He is, as a matter of fact, Clemens, one of the American League pitchers that's not rested. That's an interesting stat right there. 19 plate appearances.
And he really shines in the All-Star game. Gary is the 2-time MVP, 81 and 84. He's taking the trophy home.
One of 6 players to hit 2 home runs in a game back in 1981 at Cleveland. After the 2-month strike by Major League Baseball players.
2-2 pitch is fouled away. People forget that's the last time the All-Star game was held in the state of Ohio, and it was delayed and postponed. And then finally they began the second half of the season with that Sunday night All-Star game at Cleveland.
And the state of Ohio holding the most All-Star games. They've held 8. California and New York with 7 apiece. That's unusual.
2 tradition-rich franchises. Popped up. And Molitor is there for the catch. 1 away. And Gary Bender has Frank Viola with him. Gary.
Well, Frank, the 7th game of the World Series, starting the All-Star game. How'd you feel about those 2? Compare them.
It's been a heck of a year. The World Series, I don't think you can top because we weren't expected to do anything, and we did it as a team, not expected to go anywhere, and that was a great achievement in itself, but you can't take anything away from this All-Star game. It's a showcase, and I was fortunate enough to have the chance to go out there and show it.
Perfect 2 innings. Steinbach, you shook him off about 3 times that first inning.
Well, he's calling the game as though he's hitting against me. He's hitting lifetime 400 against me, so I couldn't let him do that. But, I just know what I want to go with in certain situations, and Terry got the hang of it after the first inning.
You've got the hang of it, too. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you, Gary.
Back up to Al.
All right, Gary, thank you. As Ozzie Smith takes inside, 1 ball and 1 strike with 1 out of the bases empty. The National League looking for his first base runner. Ozzie with decent numbers. Thing about Smith, it's funny, and Ozzie's the leading vote getter, and well, he should be. He's been a tremendous shortstop for years, but surprisingly, he's made more errors already this year than he did all of last season.
Because one reason possibly for that is Tommy Herr is not playing there in defense of Ozzie. Not that he needs a lot of defense, because he is, I mean, a peerless shortstop. When you think of Roger Clemens at 97 miles per hour, I guess that's what only happens after 2 days of rest. And Ozzie does not strike out very often. One of his strengths is he runs the radar gun up to 98 miles per hour.
He doesn't face Roger Clemens.
No, he doesn't. Well, there aren't too many Roger Clemens, not that I can recall, in history, past history, or in the present tense. Of course, you go back to 1986, he retired 9 in a row down in Houston. Only 2 days of rest.
Now Gerald Perry of the Atlanta Braves, the sole representative from Atlanta, takes a strike. 0-1. Perry making a bid for the batting title, just came off the disabled list, and at the All-Star break, he's 1 point behind Andres Galarraga. And Clemens quickly out in front, 0-2.
Well, he struck out 186 on 159 innings this year and only walked 28. So you get an idea, not only does he have the 98 mile per hour fastball, 3 other pitches to go with it, and pinpoint control.
And the 0-2 pitch fouled away. That was best typified, of course, by the night in which he struck out 20 Seattle Mariners 2 years ago, and that incredible figure under BB for bases on balls. None. No walks, 20 strikeouts.
9 innings, 4 hits, 0-0-0-20.
To left field, and it's Canseco, who plays right in Oakland, but he has given way to Winfield tonight, and at the end of 3, it's still American League 1, National League nothing.
Jeff Bridges is Preston Tucker. In 1946, he built a car so revolutionary, it had to be stopped.
You make the car too good.
Enough right now to cost billions just to keep up with them.
You don't understand how powerful the forces are that are working against us here. Now we are going to build that car exactly the way we want it.
He is dead.
Tucker, the true story of a man and his dream. Rated PG. Coming this August to theaters everywhere.
It's the Quaker State Porsche Sweepstakes and Rebate, and everybody wins. Mail in the rebate by August 5th, and you'll have $360 per case in your pocket, a great oil in your engine, and maybe a Porsche in your garage. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Now, a revolution in blade shaving from Remington, the new Remington Electro Blade, with vibrating blades for a close, smooth, comfortable shave. Safe, immersible, and cordless. The new Remington Electro Blade vibrating blade system.
Somewhere, right now, there's a clean, crisp, ice cold, Beechwood aged Budweiser with your name on it.
In the blue cap with a white K for Kentucky. A.B. Happy Chandler, a familiar figure at Riverfront Stadium. He lives in Lexington, not far from Cincinnati, in the heart of bluegrass country. And a guest Commissioner Uberoth tonight, looking on at the 59th All-Star Game as we proceed to the 4th. And Bob Knepper does the pitching for the National League, and he starts Jose Canseco with a strike. You think those two guys know a little bit about hitting? Brett and Mattingly. And behind them, Mike Greenwell was trying to eavesdrop.
Yeah. He only has 71 RBIs, right? He needs to learn a lot. Right. Oh. Of course, they'd like to miss this guy because he is tough on left-handers. Bob Knepper won his 12th game on, won his 9th game on Friday night.
He beat Dwight Gooden, as a matter of fact, at the Dome down in Houston. The National League does not have a rested starting staff.
And only 2 relievers.
Right.
1-2 to Canseco, and that's a real good point because by rights, Greg Maddux of the Chicago Cubs, and we have to mention him, is the winningest pitcher in the big leagues with 15, and by rights he should have started, but he pitched a complete game against San Diego Sunday and doesn't figure to pitch tonight. High, towering fly ball to left field. And Vince Coleman puts it away. Canseco gone. One out. Winfield coming up. And let's go down to Joe Morgan, who was with Dwight Gooden.
Thank you, Al. Dwight, this is your second All-Star start. I don't think the American League has seen the real Dwight Gooden yet.
I don't think so. It was fun out there tonight, Joe, but couldn't really get the rhythm going the way I like, but hopefully I'll be back again.
Your lead is down to 3.5. Are the Mets concerned?
We're not really concerned. We got swept in Houston, but that's okay, and the break came right at the right time, and hopefully we can pick up the second half and start off fresh.
Right. Back to you, Al.
Okay, Joe, as Nepper works with one out on Dave Winfield, taking outside. 1-0 Winfield with a mark close at hand. 6-game hitting streak. Mickey Mantle and Joe Morgan hold the record, 7. And think about it, it's tough to have an all-star game hitting streak going. Number one, you got to be on the team. Number two, you have to be in the lineup or at least pinch hit. And then you have to get enough at-bats to keep the thing going. 1-0 pitch, and he's in the book with Mantle and Morgan. And he'll be in with a double as Winfield rounds first and pulls into second. So Dave Winfield having the year of his career with a double to the gap in the All-Star game with 1 out in the 4th inning.
Well, the 7th double, also a record. 7 doubles now for Dave, and we mentioned earlier that he loves to extend his arms, and he showed you there why.
Well, a normal guy, you usually get to that ball, but he hit it so hard it gets right up the gap. And you can see Bob Nepper, he knows he did not get the ball down in a way where he wanted it. Resulted 2-base hit.
So Winfield joining some illustrious company with a 7-game All-Star game hitting streak, 1 out, and Ripken takes outside. 4-1. Ripken grounded out in the 2nd inning.
You see 2 for 13. Cal, very much a hitter like Dave Winfield. Likes to get his arms extended. A little bit better breaking ball hitter. Especially maybe the 2nd or 3rd time around. A luxury he doesn't have tonight.
2-0 the count. Bob Nepper, coming off a terrible season in '87, has turned it completely around. And of course, he got that reaction before the game. He was quoted before the season as saying he didn't think a woman's place was behind the plate as an umpire. And then he got into more hot water with the National Organization for Women, and it's become a cause célèbre. Of course, he's publicly apologized, but you heard the reaction tonight when he was announced.
It was interesting to watch his face. He didn't know how he was going to be received.
Oh, he knew. But he's been putting up with it all season. And he walks Ripken here. So runners at first and second now for the American League with 1 out in the 4th inning. And Tom Kelly sending McWhy to the plate. McWhy last year as a rookie was in the All-Star game, not as a starter. And last year in his own home park in Oakland. And the All-Star game next year goes back to California, Anaheim. And then in 1990, Wrigley Field under the lights. Inside. 1 ball, no strikes the count.
5 3-run homers. I guess you could add that he leads the majors in 16th inning home runs this year, too. 2 game winners, back-to-back 16th inning home runs.
That's his number. And he grounds it into left field for a base hit. Winfield will be held at third as the throw is offline, and Gardner is there to field it on a hop. Now, the interesting thing here is that your base coaches are managers. That's Tom Trebelhorn, the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, but he sized it up. And he looked at Coleman charging on the AstroTurf and decides to hold Winfield at third.
And the reason for that is he gets to the ball so quickly, and Trebelhorn has to make up his decision. Winfield runs exceptionally well for a man his size. But here with 1 out, you don't want him throwing out at the plate. Coleman gets to the ball so quickly, Trebelhorn says, hey, we had the guy coming up to the plate that already homered. Let him hit with the bases loaded, and this is what's going to happen.
So the infield double play depth now as Nepper tries to work out of a 4th inning jam, and the National League bullpen will get busy with David Cone going down there to start throwing. There he is. And Cone, well, this would normally be his day to throw on the side. Working Sunday in Houston. Nepper falls down, and a great stop by Carter. And it reminds you of Candlestick Park when Stu Miller was blown off the mound, but there's no wind tonight. Nepper just went down in a heap.
Well, we talked about Gary's throwing earlier combined with the New York Met pitchers, but it is amazing that Gary Carter has maintained his mobility after catching over 1,600 games. He is really remarkable. That is a remarkable play by Carter.
And it saves a run for the moment, and then the next pitch is hit high in the air to left field, deep enough to score a run. Back goes Coleman, makes the catch on the track. Winfield scores easily to make it 2-0, and Steinbach comes within about 8 feet of hitting a grand slam homer.
Well, for a guy that's not supposed to be here, he had a grand slam swing. I mean, we already saw him homer to right field. That's a helicopter on a ball up and in. Great at bat extension. Looking for a pitch he knows he can hit a fly ball in, and does. Pretty good piece of hitting.
So Steinbach has driven in both runs. The American League leads 2-0, 2 out and 2 on. And Johnny Ray, the sole representative of the California Angels, the longtime Pittsburgh Pirates second baseman, who for the most part has played left field for the Angels this season, and then they had to move him back in when Mark McLemore got hurt. So Johnny Ray comes up here to pinch hit and takes a strike. And Mark Gubazar has already warmed up for the American League, and he will come on. So Clemens goes only 1.
California Angels sorry to see the All-Star break come. They've won 5 in a row, playing much better baseball.
Swept 4 from Cleveland just prior to the break. That's hit softly into left field, but on comes Coleman to make the catch. A run, 2 hits, and 2 left after 3.5. The American League leads 2-0 in Cincinnati.
IBM presents You Make the Call. With a runner on second, a batted ball hits an umpire before the fielder has a chance to field it. Is the base runner allowed to score? You make the call.
I just proposed additional IBM PS2s.
Oh, really?
You want to know why?
Do I want to know why?
Come on, ask me why.
Why?
Compatibility.
I love compatibility.
PS2s can run the programs we run on these old PCs, which means we can keep using the software we've already got. Are you following all
I'm
that?
hanging on every word.
Not to mention the PS2's increased speed and superior graphics.
Not to mention advanced OS2 capabilities.
Were you listening outside the door? Was he listening outside the door?
Anytime a ball hits an umpire before a fielder has a chance to field it, it's a dead ball. Give the batter a hit, but if you said the runner goes back to second, you made the right call.
You asleep?
No.
Thinking about the house?
Yes.
Sure we can afford it?
No.
Uptight?
Yes.
Buying a home can make you a little uneasy when you don't know what to expect. But if you get the new Best Buyer Guidebook from Coldwell Banker, we'll take you through every step, from finding a home to financing it. So don't get left in the dark.
Is it going to be okay?
Call Coldwell Banker and expect the best. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Have you looked inside your car lately? How hard could it be to wipe some Armor All Protectant on the dash and the seats? Now, don't you feel like you went out and bought a new car, huh? Except I saved you the payments. Nothing down, no tax, no pressure.
There are places in this country where the night can last for up to 6 months. Some guys have all the luck. Shouldn't your night belong to Michelob Light?
And we come back to Cincinnati. Kurt Stillwell of the Royals on the left, and you saw Harold Reynolds, and in between innings, Gary Gaetti, who's already been in the game, and he can enjoy himself for the rest of the night as the All-Star game moves along. Mark Gubazar of Kansas City comes in to pitch. And Vince Coleman leads off for the National League. The National League without a base runner. 9 up and 9 down, and now Gubicza, who's won 12 for the Royals. This is low to Coleman, ball 2. Coleman, Sandberg, and Dawson. Bottom of the 4th inning. 2-0 American League.
It was very important to keep Vince Coleman off the bases with 45 steals. Gubicza, to be successful, has to keep the ball down. Something he's obviously done this year. 12-6 last year, 12-5 already at this point this season. 6'5", 210, good sinking fastball, a little bit of breaking ball and a changeup.
4-hit shutout Friday at New York. Line drive, left field, base hit. And so the National League has its first hit, first base runner. And it's Vince Coleman with his 45 steals at first base with nobody out. And Herzog, knowing that Vince knows the signs, and you've got Nick Leyva coaching at third, so everybody's at home here.
Vince has not driven in a run in 40 games, and Whitey Herzog said, this better not be the game that he drives in a run. So once he gets on first with nobody out, the chances go dramatically up that he's going to score a run.
I was kidding Whitey before the game. I said every time you manage in a big game, a guy named Bush throws out the first ball. With a C or without one. Coleman held on by McGuire at first base.
Take a look at the quick throw as McGuire tries to tag Coleman. See his hand just barely get in there. Now what you want to do if you're Gubicza is get the ball as quickly to Steinbach as you can and keep Coleman from getting a running lead.
Huge lead, pitches a strike, and the throw is too late, rolls into center field, and Coleman goes to third. And so the crowd finally has something to cheer about.
I was talking to Terry Steinbach yesterday, and I said, what do you think they're going to try to do? He says, they're going to try to run me out of the park, and this is what Coleman's trying to do. Steinbach really should have held this ball. He had no chance. Ripken tries to block it. Ball goes into center, and take another look. Coleman's so quick, he's just up and into third base.
Still nobody out. 0-1 is the count, and the next pitch is fouled back off the bat of Sandberg. Infield is playing back, so they'll give up a run on a ground ball. American League leading 2-0. Bottom of the 4th.
And that really is the mindset, even if you're a pitcher. You know with a 2-0 lead, you don't want to be so worried about Coleman that you allow the tying and possibly winning run to come to the plate.
Oh, good breaking pitch. The prototypical 0-2 pitch. Get him to chase it, and that's what he did.
Goes back to what we said. Sandberg probably hasn't seen Mark Gubicza, so all he sees is 2 fastballs, and then he goes fishing for this low and away breaking ball. Quite effective.
So Sandberg gets punched out in the first inning by Viola, and now in the 4th by Gubicza, and Andre Dawson is the batter. Commits, and the count is 0-1.
You've just seen 2 swings because hitters are unfamiliar with the pitchers. Not only are the pitchers of quality, but the hitters on both teams are very unfamiliar with them, and that's one of the big reasons that pitching usually dominates an all-star game.
I think it's the single most important factor. That combined with the fact that in recent times there have been a number of games played on the West Coast. Dodger Stadium in 80, Candlestick in 84. Oakland last year, San Diego in 78 in the twilight.
Anaheim next year.
Yep. Foul back. 1-2 the count on Dawson.
Well, those are some of the points that Whitey Herzog said. What would he change about the All-Star game? He'd limit pitchers to 1 inning. No 5 o'clock games. That's because he wants his hitters to have a chance. And also he'd take away he would take away pitchers hitting and institute the DH.
And that's what they're going to do next year in the American League parks anyway. The DH will be used in the All-Star game at Anaheim. And that's in the dirt. It gets away from Steinbach. He can't find it, and Coleman scores. So Vince Coleman doing what he does so often in St. Louis. Single, steal to third on a bad throw. and home on an errant pitch. A wild pitch here.
And the National League doing what it does best with the running game. A faster team than the American League. The American League runs coming on the power. The home run by Steinbach. And Terry has been involved in all 3 runs.
He has been the man of the hour. That's grounded back to Gubazar. He knocks it down, loses his glove, stays with it, throws high, pulls McWhy off first base. Gubazar had everything in order until the very end when the throw pulls him off. And that scored a base hit, and they're going to check Gubazar.
Well, it's doubtful he's ever had to throw a ball without a glove on. And he throws against his body. You can see the high throw. They call that a snow cone, and Dawson's in on the air, I assume, on the high throw by Gubazar.
I think they're going to be charitable here and give him a base hit. They are. Willie McGee goes into pinch run for Dawson and might stay in the game as Strawberry comes to the plate. So McGee running at first.
So McGee stealing at first if he wishes. He's attempted it 30 times, been successful 26 times. Whitey knows his players, especially the ones from the Cardinals.
And that's grounded back to second. Great stop by Molitor, but he has to eat it. And again, Molitor, who really hasn't played second on an everyday basis in about 5 years, getting the nod there in the All-Star balloting and doing an incredible job tonight.
And the fans once again show that they know what they're talking about when they put Molitor in second base. He's played 1 game there this year. Along those lines, the ball players talk about the fans voting, and the ball players were asked to vote for George Brett, and George Brett was picked 6th as a third baseman.
That's right.
He has played third all year.
Word travels slowly sometimes. Bonilla fouls it away in the count 0-1. It's like some of those All-America college football teams that are announced every year postseason. You find out half the time the guy on the second team was injured all year, didn't play.
But he was a preseason first-string pick.
Absolutely. That's the difference. 0-1 on Bobby Bonilla, who gets brushed back, and the count is 1-1.
That'll get your attention. I mean, Gubazar well over 90 miles per hour with that fastball.
Fouled away, and it's a ball and 2 strikes on Bobby Bonilla. National League dugout. Vance Law of the Cubs. And a look down into Riverfront Stadium. Capacity about 55,000. Ballpark opening in late June of 1970 and hosting the All-Star game for the 2nd time. Bonilla hits one down the line in right field, and it is a foul ball. Foul ball. So McGee has to go back, and Strawberry has to go back. And Gubazar is fortunate that the count is still 1-2.
Take another look. This is a camera we used in the World Series last year. It gives you a perfect example of whether the ball is fair or foul. You can see for yourself, it just hooks foul at the end. And what a hitter Bonilla. 17 home runs, 12 from the left side, 5 from the right side. Mike LaValliere said his weakness is he only hits the ball 450 feet right-handed and only 420 feet left-handed. So what a weakness to have.
1 out, 2 on, and the 1-2 pitch to Bonilla is outside. American League on top, 2-1 in the bottom of the 4th inning. Willie McGee at second base. Strawberry at first. Two to Bonilla. Is hit to right field and right at Winfield, and the runners hold. So Bonilla, after nearly stroking one fair for a double in the lead, flies out to right. 2 gone. Bobby back to the dugout. And it sends Will Clark of the Giants to the plate. Tom Kelly, Dick Such, Rick Rennick. He's brought all of his coaches. And there's Bobby Valentine, the manager of the Texas Rangers, who along with Tom Trebelhorn, the manager of the Brewers, serving as the coaches. And in the background there, Bobby Doerr, the honorary captain, the Red Sox Hall of Famer. Clark hits it sharply on one hop to Molitor at second, and Paul throws him out. They get a run in the fourth to make it 2-1. American League on top as we go to the fifth, and we're back in Cincinnati after this word from your local station.
Tomorrow, new medical insights into crack addiction. Find out why even one-time users crave it for life. Watch ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Hill Ford's inventory reduction sale is happening now. Marvin Hill wants to sell 300 Ford cars and trucks immediately. The Ford Motor Company is giving up to $1,000 cash rebates on select models. And Marvin Hill, that wonderful guy, has over 500 Ford cars and trucks to choose from. As the #1 volume franchise dealer in Champaign County, Hill Ford sells for less. So remember, if you don't have a Hill Ford sticker on your car or truck, you paid too much.
Marvin Hill's a wonderful guy with a heart as pure as gold.
Hill Ford, Carriage Center, Champaign.
Rise on up, morning is breaking. Smell those biscuits baking. Get on up, come on in. Homemade biscuits, let the morning begin. At McDonald's.
Get on up, news is breaking.
McDonald's new sausage, gravy, and biscuit.
Get on in.
For fresh baked biscuits and home-style gravy loaded with pork, sausage, and pepper.
Funny how good news gets around.
At McDonald's.
People everywhere are trying to figure out a way to save money on their energy bills. How to keep warm in winter and cool in summer and still not spend a fortune. Well, there is a solution. The electric heat pump. It qualifies for our low electric heating rate. And now you get a rebate of up to $400 when you replace your present system with a heat pump. For more information on electric heat pumps, contact CIPS, the people behind your power.
I'm Marty Caniglio. We've had a little bit of rain here in central Illinois, and after the All-Star game, I'll update you on our chances for any more.
This is WAND TV.
The 59th All-Star Game. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by AT&T, the right choice. Back in Cincinnati, Al Michaels with Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver. The All-Star Game moves to the fifth inning, and David Cone comes in to pitch for the National League. Cone working on Sunday, a mark of 9-2 during the regular season, and he's one of a couple of changes, and we'll get to them as we go along here. Ricky Henderson bats for the third time in the game, fouling one off. Andres Galarraga of the Expos comes into the game at first base. And Andy Van Slyke of the Pirates is in the game in left field. Strike. So Galarraga will hit in the #1 spot in the order. Van Slyke bats in the #9 spot. Cone bats in the 6th spot as Will Clark comes out of the game. And Billy McGee stays in the game in center. He'll bat in the #3 spot. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count on Henderson.
All three of the National League's outfielders capable of playing center field and playing center field very well. Jim Leyland, the manager of the Pirates, thinks Andy Van Slyke, who is now the left fielder, is the best center fielder in the National League.
There's a fly ball to the real center fielder, Willie McGee, who makes the catch for the out. All right, we have Roger Clemens downstairs. Let's go to Gary Bender.
Roger, the National League dominates. They've won 22 of the last 25 meetings. You're the last to beat them. What's it mean to beat the National League?
Well, it's a good feeling. You know, I think Dick Hauser stressed that very much in '86 and when I started in the All-Star game in the Astrodome, and as did Tom Kelly here tonight before the game. We want to win this thing.
Roger, never in history has anyone won 3 straight Cy Young awards. You're going after that.
Well, it's a good feeling. We got a long way to go, and there's a lot of great pitchers in the American League, but it's a challenge for me. I'm going to be out there pushing for it.
Thank you, Roger. Back to Al.
Okay, Gary, 0-1 the count on Molitor, and now it's 1-1. Roger Craig of the Giants, Whitey Herzog, and Buck Rogers of the Montreal Expos. The Brain Trust, as the saying goes. Foul tip and the count 1-2.
That's right. You can come to the All-Star game. You can throw 95, have a great curveball, and pick up a split-fingered fastball. Just talk to the Roger Craig. It's wonderful.
Cohen drops down, finds the inside corner. Molitor says, come on, man. The All-Star game.
Yes. The Mets have an outstanding pitching staff. We already saw Dwight Gooden. And you see Ron Darling occasionally. But look at Cohen. We saw the curveball from this angle. Sidearm as he drops down. Can't see it from here, but you see Molitor just kind of flinch as he gives just enough to allow strike 3 to come on the inside part of the plate. What an outstanding young pitcher this is. 9-2. Great curveball, great fastball. Drops down as we've seen.
Boggs grounds one to the left of Smith. One-hands it and throws him out. Typical Ozzie. 3 up, 3 down at the end of 4.5. 2-1 Americans.
Listen to the heartbeat
Chevrolet Corsica LT.
of America.
Now you can enjoy sleeker aerodynamics in a Porsche 928S, a taut F41 sport suspension, electronic fuel injection, all for a price that lets you indulge yourself without denying your responsibilities.
The heartbeat of America.
Corsica LT.
That's today's Chevrolet.
Introducing Kodacolor Gold 100.
I see your true colors shining through. See your true colors shining through.
Kodacolor Gold 100 gives you the most accurate colors, the truest colors of any print film.
Don't be afraid to let them show.
A new Kodacolor Gold.
Your true colors.
Ah, the natives are restless, building appetites at a fever pitch. It's summer hunger. Summer hunger. Unleash it at Burger King. Enormous summertime sandwiches, big burgers, a huge flame-broiled Whopper, icy cold Pepsi. Summer hunger. When it strikes, only Burger King can tame it. Must be feeding time.
We do it like you do it at Burger King.
The Johnsons' first house was the biggest investment they'd ever made, so they wanted the best homeowners insurance that they could find. I'm State Farm agent John Caldwell. After Terry and Barbara checked around, they came to State Farm. They found the protection they wanted at the right price, plus the personal service people expect from a State Farm agent. One day they may find a house they like better, but they'll never find a better homeowners insurance value.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Changes for the American League. Now, Carney Lansford finally gets to play in an All-Star game. Good career. He's in the lineup at third base. As we start the 5th inning, Harold Reynolds of the Seattle Mariners takes over at second base. Lansford hits first. Reynolds will bat in the number 3 spot. As Carter fouls it away off Gubazar, and Kirby Puckett of the Minnesota Twins, having another great season, bats in the number 2 spot and takes over in center field. And the honorary team captain for the National League, Willie Stargell, mans the lines at first base. There's Wilbur Dornell, who will be inducted into the Hall of Fame on the 31st of July. What a career.
475 home runs, the same as Stan Musial.
Carter goes down on strikes, and Steinbach throws to McGuire to make it official.
And the first time Carter has struck out in All-Star competition, his 11th All-Star game. And again, it was the slider down in the dirt.
So Gary is gone, 1 away. And again, we mentioned earlier, Lance Parrish is the only other catcher for the National League, bothered by a bad back. In fact, Lance hasn't started the game since early last week. So Carter figures to go some. Ripken takes care of Smith. 2 down. And Van Slyke will come up, and we have Will Clark downstairs with Joe Morgan.
Thanks.
Al. Will, any thrills out there? You call Will a thrill. Did you get nervous in your first All-Star game?
I wasn't real nervous, but it was great to play, and it was extremely fun out there.
The Giants have won 5 in a row. You're within 2.5 of the Dodgers. Can you do it again?
We're going to try. Hopefully All-Star break will get over with as quick as possible, and we get back on the field.
Back to you, Al.
Okay, Joe. As we proceed in the bottom of the 5th inning, as Van Slyke swings and fouls one down the left field line out of play, the count 0-1. Takes the catch, drops the ball. The crowd at Riverfront Stadium, home of the Big Red Machine of the 70s. Tough times in the 80s for the Reds, up and down, and some second-place finishes, and Reds struggling this year. But Pete Rose trying to turn things around, and they did get a little hot over the weekend against Philadelphia, trying to climb back into the race. 2-1 the count. Mike Greenwell of the Boston Red Sox awaiting his chance. Van Slyke at the plate, 2-1. And Andy hits a grounder down to Reynolds, and the Mariners second baseman throws him out. 3 up and 3 down in the 5th. We'll go to the 6th in the All-Star game. Still American League 2, National League 1.
Got a big hot healthy thirst for Gatorade.
Speeding in fluids and minerals.
Want my whole hot body wet with Gatorade.
Supplying energy to working muscles.
No, there's nothing better when I sweat. I just got to get Gatorade.
When you're hot, nothing's better.
Gatorade is thirsty. Ooh, I got to get it for that deep down body thirst.
You know, a lot of people are succeeding in business thanks to desktop publishing. Makes you look pretty smart, doesn't it? Only thing is, what if you need 5,000? Printed just as nice for that big meeting. Now, how are you going to get that done? Huh?
It's no big secret. A dead pool is just a harmless game.
Sounds pretty sick to me. In case you don't realize it, Callahan, your name is on this list, too.
Clint Eastwood is Dirty Harry in The Dead Pool. Rated R. Starts Wednesday, July 13th.
An invitation to tea with golf's royalty. The world's finest golfers will attend. Live exclusive coverage of the British Open begins Saturday on ABC Sports.
It's that kind of a night. It's a gala celebration in Cincinnati.
200th anniversary of or birthday, I guess, of the city, and the fireworks the other night. What a lovely, lovely town. They have done a remarkable job with the downtown area, too.
White tie and tails for the grounds crew here. The bicentennial is the focal point of it. As we go to the 6th inning, and Kevin Gross of the Philadelphia Phillies comes into the game. He'll bat 8th, and the crowd responding for the new shortstop, Barry Larkin. And what a thrill, not only to play in your home stadium, but in your hometown. A kid who grew up in Cincinnati, was drafted by the Reds in the early 80s and declined to sign, went to Michigan, was redrafted by Cincinnati, and here he is in the All-Star game in his hometown. Jose Canseco at the plate, takes a strike, and the count 0-1. And of course, oddly, the one guy whose town this is, it belongs to him, is at home tonight watching the game on TV. That is Indian Hill Mance, and we're talking about number 14, Pete Rose. 0-2. The Reds manager taking a night off, taking an all-star break. In the literal sense. Look out, 1-2.
Another attention pitch. Of course, Kevin Gross, what a game this is. Last year lost 16 games. This year 8-5, pitching in an all-star game. 0-2. Trying to throw it a little bit harder, get a little bit extra. Not that high, though.
And Canseco down on strike. So Jose is 0 for 3 tonight. Striking out to lead things off in the 6th inning. And it brings up Dave Winfield, who has grounded out and doubled. Dave Winfield keeps racking up the numbers and honors and awards.
Gold gloves.
And wouldn't that be something if in this year of turmoil and the battling back and forth with his owner, if he were to win the MVP award, he's having that kind of a season. 1-0 the count.
Well, he's always gone to extremes. Lifetime average, batting average is around 280. One year, Steinbrenner said he didn't hit it for a high enough average, so he hit 340. Next year, he said he hit for a high average, not enough home runs. He hit a lot of home runs. And Yankee Stadium is very tough for a right-handed hitter to hit home runs in. This year, a little bit of both. 346 coming into the game, 15 home runs.
Gross's 2-0 pitch. Winfield swinging from the heels. 2-1. And you could tell from the blimp that he was going for the downs.
Look at Kevin Gross, all arms and legs, well over 6'4", and 2-0, thou shalt not pass. Home run swing from Dave Winfield.
And that's so typical of what you see Winfield do during the regular season as well.
Yeah, from the blimp, this probably looks like a helicopter. The bat flying out of Dave's hand and going down toward third base.
From the blimp. Well,
the helicopter, here it is.
Ask and ye shall receive. They had this baby tied into the tape machine. There it is.
Low chopper.
Absolutely, you're right.
Baseball term anyway. High chopper, right? Huh?
Yep. Helicopter or a dying quail. 2-2.
The bad thing is when he throws his bat and also makes contact. And as a pitcher, you're trying to see the ball and also get out of the way of the bat.
Change in the dirt. He's talking about having cameras everywhere. I wonder what that looked like from Scottsdale, Arizona.
I think I'll call my dad tomorrow and ask him.
I got to ask Kirk Gowdy Jr., Craig Janoff. We got a remote out there. 3-2 pitch. His spun foul outside first and into the hands of Wayne Terwilliger. America's best cameraman, and we will second that motion.
I talked about Kevin Gross last year, lost 16 games with a herniated disc in his back. Said he was in the low 80s, now almost around 90 miles per hour. Better supported by his ball club, even though it's been tough. They've had a tough year in Philadelphia. Well, it must really be something for him to be here.
To left field, and Van Slyke is there. 2 gone with the bases empty in the 6th inning. So Winfield goes back to the dugout. Ripken comes up, and a reminder, this is the week of the British Open, and our coverage begins with live coverage noon Eastern time on Saturday. And then the U.S. Olympic trials continue. The box offs from Las Vegas, track and field from Indianapolis Saturday. The special time reflected at the bottom of the panel there here on ABC. 2 out, bases empty, and Ripken takes outside, ball 1. Two runs, 5 hits, and 1 error for the American League. 1 run, 3 hits, and no errors for the National League. 1-1. Boomer Esiason of the Cincinnati Bengals, who will be in action, believe it or not, 2 weeks from Saturday in the Hall of Fame game against the Rams. 1-2. Talking about overlapping seasons. The Bengals opening up camp this week. Boomer, of course, is a veteran, so he may come in a day or 2 late. And we'll see him in Canton on the 30th. Change-up. Throws throwing slower and slowest here. 2-2.
We also had a chance to see a terrific quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, Kenny Anderson, running into Kenny. As you see the Jugs gun there. Didn't need one on that last pitch.
No, didn't register. Into the corner goes Strawberry to reach for it, and did he hold it? He went out of our view. Dropping foul. But down the line, let's take a look at our down the line shot here as he disappeared from our angle.
Of course, the umpire makes his decision. He's going to call Ripken out. That Strawberry would have caught that ball if the fan did not interfere.
Because the fan leaned onto the field.
Umpire's discretion, and that's the end of the top of the sixth.
Coming up next, Yogi at the Movies, brought to you by Stroh's and Stroh Light.
Yogi, why are you reviewing a beer commercial? It's not a movie.
Because it's good enough to be a movie. Watch.
Okay. Alex will now do his famous dog impersonations. Grab a Stroh Light, relax. Ready, Alex? All right, who's this?
Rin Tin Tin.
Look at this.
Look at this. Tramp, my three sons.
Right. This is my favorite.
Benji. Oh, I don't know how he does it. It's amazing.
Stroh Light, fire brewed for smooth, consistent taste.
No, here he comes. Here he comes. Who's that supposed to be?
Beats me.
Yogi, how did Alex the dog do that?
I think it's makeup.
Yogi, do you remember Rin Tin Tin?
Oh, he was my favorite dog actor.
It was the real Benji, you know.
So was Rin Tin Tin.
Rin Tin Tin is dead, Yogi.
Now he is, yeah. I score famous dogs commercial a home run. You're welcome, Alex.
Gold medalists Edwin Moses, Carl Lewis, and more compete in the track and field trials. Plus the box offs in the U.S. Olympic trials on ABC's Wide World of Sports live Saturday.
Several changes now for the American League. From the Toronto Blue Jays, Dave Steve comes into the game to pitch, and he'll bat in Winfield's spot. Number 5, the new catcher from the Twins, is Tim Laudner, and he'll hit in the number 9 spot. As he discusses things with Frank Pulley, Don Mattingly of the Yankees comes into the game and bats in the number 7 spot at first base. And from the Boston Red Sox, Mike Greenwell into the game in right field, and he hits in the number 8 spot. Tom Kelly, I think, wants Canseco to play right and Greenwell to play left, if I can judge his motion, and that is correct, because there they are flip-flopping.
That makes a lot of sense because Canseco is normally a right fielder during the season. Greenwell, the left fielder for the Boston Red Sox. Well, what shoes he has to fill. When you think about it, the Boston Red Sox over the last 50 years have had 4 left fielders. Ted Williams, Carl Yastrzemski, Jim Rice, and now Mike Greenwell.
He's a pretty good guy to follow in the footsteps the way it looks right now. A. Bartlett Giamatti, the president of the National League, who gave his National League squad a fiery pep talk, he told me before the game. Galarraga hits one to the gap in right center, and it's Canseco who calls for it and makes the catch. And Kirby Puckett was over in the area. Normally the center fielder will take charge, but Kirby giving way to Canseco. And when you look at Jose's body, you can understand.
Walls would give away to Jose Canseco's body.
Open sesame.
I mean, I'll tell you what, this American League squad, and it doesn't mean, of course, that they're going to win. And saw Ripken in the foreground there, but you look at McWhy and Canseco, and then if you go to the National League, Lance Parrish, they ought to be playing football here. They are big.
Ryan Sandberg. Sandberg tonight has been up twice, and he has struck out twice. And he has seen about every pitch in the book along the way.
And of course, Dave Steeves, his best pitch is a slider, a pitch he really has not had the last couple of years because of elbow problems. You know, he used to throw a fastball that sunk at about over 90 miles per hour. Great changeup. One of the dominant pitchers 2 or 3 years ago, and then he came up with chronic elbow soreness, and his velocity's come back this year. Last year he was 13-9 with an ERA over 4. This year 10-5, right under 3 runs.
That's hit down the line in right field and looped in for a base hit. Canseco to cut it off and hold him to 1. So Ryan Sandberg fighting one off, singling, with 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th inning and becoming the tying run at first base.
Well, the sinker just in on his fist, and it probably hurt, but after 2 strikeouts, you'll take it. Fights it off and puts an excellent base runner, guy that has great stealing capabilities at first base.
And Canseco, a better right fielder than he was a left fielder. And that's very unusual because right field's a much more difficult position to play than left.
And generally, your better outfielder is the right fielder. Right. Left field sometimes is a hiding spot. where you want to hide somebody when you got to get them into the lineup. 0-1 on Willie McGee with Sandberg at first base. And McGee hits a chopper toward the middle. Ripken has one play first base, gets the out there. McGee is gone. Sandberg gets the second. And Darryl Strawberry comes up. That was a very important hit for Ryne Sandberg, and I'll tell you why. Because when he goes back to join his team, can you imagine if you strike out 3 times in the All-Star game? You hear about it for a month.
You hear about it during the regular season, but the hat trick in the All-Star game. And boy, do they have a good young ball club.
Oh, I'm telling you.
I mean, Mark Grace, who's not here, Rafael Palmeiro, who we may see, John Dunston, who is on the bench for the National League, Greg Maddux, 15-game winner, as Al talked about earlier.
Strawberry takes a strike. 0-1. The crowd was chanting. There was a small chant that went up. It's Sabo, Sabo. They're waiting for Chris Sabo, and I guarantee you he will play before the night is done. The Reds rookie third baseman, Whitey, guaranteed it before the game. One and one. And there is the only rookie in this All-Star game, Chris Sabo, who put on those goggles when he comes out. Strawberry fouls one off. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I went up to him and introduced myself, and he said, "Oh, Jim Palmer, I'm Chris Sabo." I said, "I could recognize you with that." I mean, you couldn't see it there, but if he took his hat off, there's no way you could misidentify it.
His picture is up on the screen here in Cincinnati. They are seeing the same shot in the stadium that you just saw, and that's why you had that response. Sometimes they intercut our pictures with their closed circuit here, and up on the big screen in center field was the shot of Sabo, and that elicited that response.
I'll tell you, he is a joy to watch play, and I love Bill Conlon of the Philadelphia Daily News description of him. He said he's a hyper-talented Pete Rose clone. And is he ever? He can play.
2-2.
It's so intriguing. He's been a better player in the major leagues than he was in the minor league. Doesn't happen too often, but it does happen.
And he not only forced Buddy Bell out of a job, he forced Buddy Bell out of Cincinnati, traded to Houston. 3-2. Sandberg at second. And again, if you're just tuning in, the chant is not Darryl, Darryl, it's Sabo, Sabo. High fly ball to shallow right field, and Jose Canseco handles 2 of the 3 outs in the 6th. At the end of 6, still 2-1, the American League. Back at Riverfront in Cincy after this word from your local station.
Tomorrow, reaction to Dukakis' choice of a vice presidential candidate. NAACP leader Benjamin Hooks joins us, plus a visit with rock superstar Sting on Good Morning America.
IGA store brands, as fresh as national brands. IGA store brands, as select as national brands. This week, 12-ounce cans of IGA concentrated orange juice are only 89 cents each. And munch away on regular or dip IGA potato chips just 59 cents for an 8-ounce bag. But IGA store brands are priced lower than national brands. IGA store brands, your best value.
Burger King brings back 2 burgers for $1. Wow! You can't buy a 45 record for $1, but you can buy 2 Burger King regular hamburgers. 25% more beef than McDonald's regular hamburgers for $1. They don't do haircuts for $1, but at Burger King, they'll do 2 plain broiled burgers just like you do them for $1. The dollar movie may be hard to find, but for a limited time, 2 burgers for $1 are back.
We do it like you do it when we do it like we do it at Burger King.
I'm Tom Green. University of Illinois Athletic Director Neil Stoner is stepping down. Tonight after the game, we'll find out what happens next.
This is WAND TV.
The 59th All-Star Game. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Stroh's and Stroh Life. Now you're talking good times, and Stroh's is spoken here. start the 7th inning in Cincinnati, the All-Star game. 2-1, the American League on top, and Don Mattingly bats for the first time tonight. The Yankee first baseman facing Mark Davis of the San Diego Padres. And there are Don's figures at the All-Star break. And Kim Mattingly looking on. Don and his wife from Evansville, Indiana, just down the Ohio River. And coming home to Cincinnati in a way to play in the All-Star game. Mark Davis. His numbers traded from the Giants to the Padres last year.
Only 2 saves last year. You see 16 this year.
One ball, 2 strikes the count.
Well, that's what the breaking ball is all about. He hung that breaking ball, but when you throw the breaking ball, you usually want to try to get the hitter out on his front foot. Mattingly hit it well, but he was out on his front foot and hit it foul.
Davis tied for the league lead in saves with Todd Worrell, who's on the All-Star bench. Sandberg charges over to Galarraga. 1 away. Terry Steinbach has been the big man tonight, driving in both American League runs, and he is with Gary Bender. Gary?
Terry, the fans knew what they were doing when they voted you as the starting catcher.
Well, it was just good to come here and, have that first at bat like I did. It's a real good feeling for me.
The first Major League at bat, you hit a home run against Cleveland. Your first time in an All-Star game, you hit a home run.
I don't know, I think I just get caught up in the excitement and forget about everything and go out there and see the ball and just try to hit it. And, I've been fortunate both times.
You better stick around. You could be the MVP.
Well, thank you.
Back to Al.
And at this point, Gary, I think he'd be a lock, driving in both runs to this point in the game. 2-1. American League on top. Greenwell at the plate, ducks under it. 1-1. So again, an All-Star game dominated to a degree by pitching. Low scoring, but still some moments to remember tonight. Some pretty good ones. And Frank Viola provided some of those early on. 2-1.
Mike Greenwell, and you saw the numbers, is a complete hitter. 45 walks, got an on-base percentage well over 40% of the time. The amazing thing about him is last year, Timmy, and he's hit so well. He hit 328, but he hit 378 against lefties. Now you take a power away, 19 home runs, only 1, but I mean, he had actually hit left-handers better than right-handers.
Leads the American League in RBIs. Like Rafael Palmeiro's the same way. A better hitter against left-handers than right-handers. And there's your point.
And into left field, and what a catch! Yes, he caught it. Andy Van Slyke.
Well, there's your point. The best center fielder playing left takes a hit away from Mike Greenwell.
Andy Van Slyke, and has he ever emerged this year? You can put super in front of star now. He's on that level.
Well, not to embarrass yourself, you have to have great baseball instincts. He dove well before the ball was about to hit the turf, and he still comes up with it, knows about where it's going to land, has his glove right in the proper position.
Tim Laudner of the Twins now hits for the first time in the game and takes a strike.
Van Slyke making that play after signing 12 million baseballs. That's what he said. And I asked him about it before the game. He said it wasn't 12 million, it was 12 to the 10th power.
He's got a wonderful sense of humor. That's driven to the gap in right center field and all the way to the fence. And Strawberry comes up with it on the warning track. And there's Laudner, who hit 191 last year in the regular season, but had a terrific World Series, doubling in the All-Star game.
Boy, has that made a difference. Hitting just about 250 this year. And again, we talked about Frank Viola, won the first and the 7th game. Not that he had a bad year last year, but came back, and this year is the dominant pitcher along with Roger Clemens in the American League.
And now Whitey Herzog is going to go to the mound. He's going to bring Bob Walk into the game to face Carney Lansford. So he gets Davis in for 2/3 of an inning. And Bob Walk, who pitched on Sunday, threw 70-some-odd pitches against the Dodgers, and then told Whitey before the game that he could come in for at least part of an inning. So he'll come in here with 2 out and Laudner at second base.
Sounds like you're reiterating, but almost all the power hitters, and Laudner is a big, strong guy, like to get their arms extended. Mark Davis threw almost exclusively sliders. That's his first fastball out over the plate. Laudner doubles.
And Laudner, like a lot of the Twins, credit Tom Kelly for the patience that he's shown with them. Laudner even goes back to A-ball when Tom Kelly was his manager. Tom used to do the laundry, he'd drive the bus, and train his players. He is a very, very popular manager with his players.
No doubt about it. And he took some knocks in the World Series. Everybody said he's dull. Well, yeah, when you're around 9,000 people and you're uncomfortable, maybe you'll come across as dull. But when you get to know the guy, and those who have in this business find him to be a very engaging guy and a very bright manager.
Yes.
And I mean, how many managers can go to their grave and say, hey, as a rookie manager, I won the World Series?
Right. He low-keys everything. He low-keyed his team right to the World Series and then won in 7 games. Now he's got him back in the race.
So Bob Walk comes out of the bullpen. Bob Walk is a very interesting case himself. I mean, here's a guy who as a kid starts the first game of the World Series in 1980 as a Philly, and then he has a checkered and up and down career, and 8 years later he's pitching in the All-Star game. And Carney Lansford is another who's had a fine career as the crowd begins that Sabo chant again, and they'll get him shortly. But Lansford appropriately making it to the big show.
Last right-handed hitter as you look at Chris Sabo to win a batting championship in the American League back in 1981. So that graphic, 364, highest batting average against right-handers. Loves the ball out over the plate.
And he hits that one on the ground down to second. And down he goes. And the American League finished here in the 7th. Sandberg and the Nationals come off. It's still 2-1 AL.
You've seen how the advanced full-size Chevy half-ton stands up to Ford. And recently, maybe you've seen Ford's answer. But what you haven't seen is the latest news. Right now, full-size Chevy sales are on a rocket and growing faster than Ford's, which just goes to prove America knows a hot new truck when they see one. Make your switch to Chevy now with $500 cash back.
That's today's Chevy truck.
Now, what makes me look so successful? This watch? Well, it's absolutely worthless in a business situation. When I leave the room, it leaves the room. My brochure stays behind. Think about it.
If you think you might need some new hand tools, think about this. Sears Craftsman hand tools are built so tough, we guarantee them forever. And we mean forever.
Sorry, Alex. You know the rules, buddy.
Let me have a Stroh's, Pat. About my monthly tab. Seems really high.
No, that's right.
Looks high to me.
Maybe you shouldn't let your buddy use it.
My buddy.
Brown hair, wears it long.
Is he short?
Yeah, talks funny, too.
Wolf?
Says that a lot.
Stroh's, fire brewed for smooth, consistent taste.
Eats the peanuts right out of the bowl, too.
Teach your team to play the right way with Major League Baseball's A Coaching Clinic. It's a great training video for coaches, dads, and moms, and a great learning video for individual players. To order your VHS copy, send check or money order for $19.95 to Major League Baseball, Box 88, Trenton, New Jersey, 08561. Or call 1-800-543-7800. New York and New Jersey residents add sales tax. The proceeding was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Well, the All-Star game, the traditional halfway point, stream of consciousness. What's the one thing you'll think most about in regard to this season to this point?
Pitching, I think. The good pitching in the National League.
The Mets may not win.
Yeah, might be right.
Race is really heating up, and the crowd heats up because hometown boy Jeff Russell from the area and now with the Texas Rangers comes out of the American League bullpen to face Bobby Bonilla. 2-1, the Americans on top, and Bonilla takes outside, ball 1. Bonilla and Larkin out on deck, and then Gary Carter due up third. 1-1 the count. on Bobby Bonilla.
This is not a good night to hit. I mean, everybody's got a 90-plus fastball. They have 2 or 3 pitches. They throw strikes.
To left field, and moving over is Greenwell, who had trouble just for an instant, but corrals it. The crowd is booing because they felt that Herzog should have let Sabo hit for Bonilla. 1 out, and Larkin is the batter.
Think of all the side stories in this game. The triumvirate of Barry Larkin, Kurt Stillwell, and Danny Jackson. Jeff Russell used to pitch with Cincinnati. Stillwell traded for Danny Jackson. Jackson's on the NL team, never made it in the AL. Kurt Stillwell's on the AL team, never made it in the NL.
Jeff Russell lost 18 games here.
Yeah.
And then you get a Buddy Bell for him, who's a heck of a third baseman. So you got to know, he has ability. Certainly shown it this year.
Strike and the count 2-1.
Another thing that makes it a good night to pitch is that Frank Pulley has a ample strike zone. Looks like a pitcher's umpire.
You would pick up on that.
You want every edge you can get,
of course,
especially in an all-star game.
Three and 1. Larkin, a member of the '84 U.S. Olympic team, grounds one to third. And Carney Lansford throws to Mattingly to take care of him. So 2 down. Gary Carter coming up. Jeff Russell, born in Cincinnati, his hero Nolan Ryan, 1961. And a look back. Cute kid at the age of 12. And then at 15 on the mound. At 17, an Ohio All-Star. And now live in '88, a big league All-Star. When he was 12, he didn't look like he developed into the type of kid that could grow that sort of beard.
I was thinking the same thing.
I mean, he sort of had that cherubic look, that angelic face at 12. And here he is with about 7 days growth. Looking mean. 2-0. He's fouled back and it's 2-1. Well, let's take a look. Mets and the Yankees. Dave Winfield, he'd like to see that take place.
So with this gentleman right here. Boy, Carter talked to Gary. He has been struggling, been on 299, talking about home runs for about the last 2 months. Said he talked to Joe Morgan and Johnny Bench about making some adjustments. But I'm not sure if tonight's a great litmus test to make adjustments. See a pitcher, a different pitcher each time. Different stuff, different arm angle, different breaking ball. And then you don't know them. You don't even know what they throw.
3 and 2. When you're a rookie, you have to sit and wait. But I guarantee you he'll be in there before the night's done. Base hit for Cardinals. And Rafael Palmeiro will come up to pinch hit here in the 7th inning. And now the crowd is angry with Herzog. But Sabo is going to come out to pinch run. At first, they started to boo because Palmeiro is coming up and not Sabo. And then they see him come in as a pinch runner. His locker in the dressing room. He's one guy that didn't have to move out for the All-Star break.
Jabbar-like glasses, 27 stolen bases, so you can see there's a method to Whitey's madness. Carter runs well for a catcher, but does not run like Chris Sabo.
So Rafael Palmeiro of the Cubs comes up here with 2 outs, 7th inning. Sabo at first base. American League leading 2-1. dusting himself off at first base. Representing the tying run with 2 out in the bottom of the 7th inning. Palmeiro.
Palmeiro, I think I read something, won 29 straight at bats early year without missing a pitch.
Speaking of missing a pitch,
yeah, right. They miss a few right there.
Leading the National League in hitting for about a month.
Sabo goes, pitches outside, and he's got a stolen base.
Great jump. Number 26 on the year. It doesn't count, but it will have allows the National League to tie the game.
Yeah, you couldn't tell the people here that it doesn't count. On his normal record, of course. Head first slide. That's one of the toughest things in the world, is to come in as a pinch runner and to be expected to steal a base, because you really have no place to loosen up. You could loosen up as a pinch hitter, of course. Safe easily at second base.
Of course, Cal Ripken trying to put the quickest tag he can, and it's just too late. Tags him on the hip. Hands well into the base. Good pitch to run on a slow curveball.
1-1 on Palmeiro. 2 out. Two and 1 to count. 2 runs, 6 hits, and 1 error for the American League. Both runs driven in by Steinbach. 1 run, 5 hits, and no errors for the National League. Jeff Russell working on Palmeiro. And the count 3-1.
Doug Jones down in the bullpen for the American League. Hershiser for the Dodgers in the National League.
3-2. Out of play. So 3 balls and 2 strikes on Rafael Palmeiro.
It's hard to tell now, but almost every hitter I talked to, I said, how do you characterize this park? They said, a good hitting ballpark. Ball carries well, and also not a lot of foul territory, especially when you get down the line. Contrast this to Oakland. I mean, Oakland is huge.
On that last foul ball, Sabo with 2 out running. And you heard the crowd respond. He'd already crossed the plate. Just in case it was fair. He really didn't have a chance, but that's the way he plays the game. A typical example right there. And Palmeiro walks. So runners at first and second. And Andy Van Slyke, who made that great catch in the top of the inning, comes up here. From the Pittsburgh Pirates, left fielder Van Slyke and all of the Pirates, and you see the RSC on their sleeves. And that's in the memory of Richard Caligari, their mayor, longtime mayor in Pittsburgh, who died this spring and was very instrumental in keeping the team in Pittsburgh. And also the mourning bands around the left sleeve of the umpires tonight, as they remember Dick Costello, who died last winter in a road accident, and Lee Wyatt, who died last week. Mattingly, great stop, goes to second for the 4th. What a play by Mattingly. Not only to stop it, but then to have the presence of mind to get up and make the dead right play in front of him to force Palmeiro.
Palmeiro may have slid late into second base. He gets a good jump off of first, but watch the late slide and a brilliant play by Mattingly.
You asleep?
No.
Thinking about the house?
Yes.
Sure we can afford it?
No.
Uptight?
Yes.
Buying a home can make you a little uneasy when you don't know what to expect. But if you get the new Best Buyer Guidebook from Coldwell Banker, we'll take you through every step, from finding a home to financing it. So don't get left in the dark.
Is it going to be okay?
Call Coldwell Banker and expect the best. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Painful conditions are a fact of life in a modern hospital. And when it comes to relieving everyday pain, the overwhelming choice of hospitals is Tylenol. Tylenol is clinically proven effective for all kinds of pain. That's a medical fact. And there's another important thing you should know. Hospitals can trust Tylenol not to irritate your stomach. In fact, unlike aspirin or even ibuprofen, Tylenol is so easy on your stomach, most ulcer patients can use it. Tylenol. It's tough on pain, easy on your stomach.
Wouldn't it be nice if businesses remain stagnant and if the edge that you somehow managed to gain when you started up would continue to be there for you? But I would suggest that the marketplace isn't like that. Not for us, not for you. And I can show you how we can put together a program based on telecommunications that will help clients stay with you once you've sold them. And that's just like gold. And we can certainly show you how to do it.
The All-Star game moves to the 8th inning as Kirby Puckett leads off for the American League, hitting one in the air down the line. Strawberry coasts over and makes the catch in fair ground. So on one pitch from Oral Hershiser, the new National League pitcher, Hershiser worked Sunday for the Dodgers, but told Whitey he could give him an inning, as Tim mentioned before. And here's the inning, the 8th, and he's got a new battery mate. Gary Carter worked 7 innings tonight, and Lance Parrish of the Phillies, the former Tiger, takes over there. Rafael Palmeiro stays in the game in left field. Parrish hits 7th, Palmeiro hits 8th, and Hershiser bats 9th. Harold Reynolds, the Mariners' second baseman, comes up with 1 out. The base is empty. 8th inning. 2-1. The American League on top. Al Michaels, Jim Palmer, Tim McCarver at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. Reynolds takes a strike, 0-1.
It's amazing. We saw fan interference earlier, and when Strawberry made that catch, when Puckett hit the ball, it looked like the same fan had waited and then gone down to get the ball. Fell in the white shirt out there.
Palmeiro makes the catch. 2 gone. Dave Winfield out of the game, and let's get a word with him. Gary and Joe are downstairs.
Dave, with your double in the 4th inning, you tied an all-star record. 7 straight games with a hit. You know who you tied?
I think Joe Morgan right here. Someone told me before the game, but I'm happy to be in the same company.
Well, Dave, I didn't have any pressure on me when I tied Mickey Mantle because I didn't know about the record. Right. You had pressure.
Yeah, no, it's not really pressure. We're here having fun, doing our thing, and demonstrating that we can play. We're having a good time.
Dave, you've been on a mission, kind of an MVP-type season.
Yeah, it has nothing. It's just a personal thing. I just want to do well and let the team win. We're in 2nd place right now, which is the 2nd best position to be in at this point, but we're going to make good drives second half and try to win it all.
Al, back to you.
All right, gents, thank you. 2 out with the bases empty here, and Jose Canseco at the plate. And Oral Hershiser, the sole Dodger representative, trying to make short order of the American League. He's got Puckett, he's got Reynolds, and he's quickly ahead 0-2 here. The Dodgers in first place. Kirk Gibson probably would have been named, but Gibson preferred to have the time off. I know some Dodger fans were upset with Herzog, but in a way, Kirk elected not to come. Another guy who could have come was John Shelby. He's having that kind of a year. Larkin throws to Galarraga, and Canseco is 0-4 tonight. At the end of 7.5, still 2-1 American League.
Okay. Alex will now do his famous dog impersonations. Grab a stroll light, relax. Ready, Alex? All right, who's this?
Rin Tin Tin.
Look at this.
Look at this. Tramp, my 3 sons.
Right. This is my favorite.
Benji. Oh, I don't know how he does it. It's amazing.
Stroh-Lite, fire brewed for smooth, consistent taste.
No, here he comes. Here he comes. Who's that supposed to be?
Beats me.
This summer,
G'day, mate.
Paramount's got the stars. Paul Hogan is Michael J. Crocodile Dundee.
Oh, excuse me. You know who that was? Clint Eastwood.
In Crocodile Dundee 2. Rated PG. And Eddie Murphy is Prince Akeem. in Coming to America.
I am very happy to be here.
Rated R. Crocodile Dundee 2 and Coming to America. Now playing separately everywhere.
I wasn't sure where to get my muffler fixed.
At Midas, we stock more mufflers than anyone.
Everyone promised low prices.
Midas prices take the sting out of muffler repair costs.
The difference was Midas.
Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
They're going to California for the weekend.
It's a frequent flyer thing. 40,000 miles and they both fly free.
I've got 40,000 miles. We're going to the mall.
Some airlines make you fly nearly 40,000 miles for one free trip. On Northwest, you get 2.
Join a team of American and Soviet adventurers on an unprecedented journey, rafting into Siberia on Mutual of Omaha's Spirit of Adventure, Sunday on ABC Sports.
From the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise, a look into Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, the city again celebrating its bicentennial here in 1988 and putting on a great show. It's been a terrific week here. Home of the Cincinnati Red Stockings in 1869, the first professional franchise. Doug Jones of the Indians comes in to pitch in the bottom of the 8th inning. And again, as we mentioned at the top, it's the 4th time the All-Star game has been held here in Cincinnati. And the first time it was held in this park, Sparky Anderson was a rookie manager here. Dave Concepcion was a rookie shortstop here. 18 years later, we're at it again as Galarraga takes the first pitch low, ball 1. Doug Jones, a career minor leaguer, knows what it's like to be released and waved and beat the bushes. And you talk about a guy who has seen just about every cockroach-infested hotel and fast food joint in the United States. It's Doug Jones.
I knew you'd get hotels into this album, but
Jones and I, we've shared our experiences there. The 1-1 pitch. Now back in the count 1-2.
I was talking to
almost got it. Yes. Vance Law says, come on, man.
That's right. Vance Law used a former teammate. He says,
he's the 11th pitcher, too.
Right. Galarraga with great power to the opposite field, or actually the opposite dugout. But he can't hit the ball out anywhere.
Breaking pitch, foul tip, still 1-2.
Doug Jones, I mean, he was not even on the Major League roster, and here he is with 20 saves in the All-Star game. The Indians, along with the Orioles last year, first team since 1961 with an earned run average over 5 runs a game. They've changed that, and this is one of the reasons. Fastball changeup. Cal Ripken says, I tell you what, his changeup is so slow, but it makes his fastball seem so quick. Probably doesn't throw as hard as some of the other ones. And then again, look at the arm angle. Very slow windup, deceivingly quick. And a great changeup. He's thrown Galarraga 3, and Galarraga waits about as well as anybody in the National League.
He set a Major League record earlier with 16 consecutive saves, breaking Steve Bedrosian's record set last year.
2 balls and 2 strikes the count. That is the nick left by, more than a nick, left by Galarraga's foul ball. Oh, changed up on him and down he goes. And so Jones, a guy who's beaten the bushes in Newark, New Jersey, Burlington, Vermont, Stockton, California, Vancouver, Holyoke, Massachusetts, El Paso, Texas, Waterbury, Connecticut, Old Orchard Beach, Maine, and Buffalo. In an All-Star game, comes in and strikes out the first man he faces.
You know, we talked about earlier, and we saw Mattingly save a run. Now, he's won 3 Gold Gloves, but we talked about earlier, the American League to win has to have a good defensive ball club capable of winning 1-run ball games. They have their stoppers, so to speak. They got Dan Plesac out on the mound with over 20 saves. They have a great defensive ball club, and they have a guy on the mound that's been out there all year doing exactly what he's expected of tonight.
Shallow pop into right, and out goes Reynolds to make a running catch. Harold Reynolds has his moment in the sun, or the lights as it were, with a nice back to the plate catch. 2 gone.
Again, a guy that's used to playing on AstroTurf. Led the American League in stolen bases. He has great speed, and he uses his great speed to his advantage there to run under that ball. A ball that Canseco wouldn't have been able to get to.
This has been a brilliant defensive game. Usually good pitching and good defense go hand in hand, and this is an example of that.
And interesting right now that the play of the game is a defensive play of sorts, in that Strawberry appeared to have tipped Steinbach's home run. Might have made the catch, and the ball looked like it grazed his glove, hit the top of the wall, and spun over. 1-1 the count.
This ballpark, of course, used to having outfielders jump up and catch balls that would normally be home runs. That's because Eric Davis plays here.
Mattingly has that one slipped through him. Sure, the minute we talk about defense, E3, huh?
Well, that's the bad part of it. That ball was nailed. But take a look at that camera again. Mattingly does save a double. This ball is smoked on the turf. You see him get down in front of it. Not low enough. Try to get his glove down, but he does keep it from being a double. A play that he normally makes, though.
And the official score still gives him an error. E3. Kelly goes to the mound, and he has Dan Plesac, the Brewer lefty, in the bullpen, with Strawberry due up for the National League. So the Americans still on top by a score of 2-1, with 2 out, and Strawberry coming up, and Plesac coming in as we step out for a moment.
We have a cable cut at 3 o'clock in the morning, or cable damage, lightning or something like that. We go out there and we don't wait till 8 o'clock and then go out. We're there. If you got a long-term project and they're putting a big power line or a water line or something close to our cable, see, we have to stay with them, and this might go on for weeks and even months. We're there. Anytime any activity's going on, we're there, even though nobody knows it.
Yesterday's copper-top battery would need more than a wing and a prayer to keep up with today's Duracell battery. Because today's is so much better, it'll last up to 30% longer than the one we made just 3 years ago. Which means that yesterday's battery now falls a bit short. Look for the new Duracell. AA 8-pack. Robert De Niro does the shooting.
Don't move, I'll shoot you right through the glass.
Charles Grodin does the complaining.
This is not good.
They're the best friends
Glad to see me.
that ever wanted to kill each other.
You get it started, and I'll run you over.
From the director of Beverly Hills Cop.
Under different circumstances, probably still would have hated each other.
Midnight Run, rated R. Special sneak preview Saturday night.
Listen to the heartbeat of America.
Now there's a powerful new reason to follow your heart. The new 4.3-liter V6, available in S10 Blazer. 28% more power than before, and 50% more torque. The new 4.3-liter V6, the biggest engine ever offered in Blazer's class.
The heartbeat of America.
Chevy S10 Blazer.
Today's Chevy truck.
When you talk about playing percentages, lefty against lefty, well, that figures, right? Has not given up a homer to a lefty batter this season, so Kelly brings him in, but to face that man, who's hit 11 of his 21 off lefties. So Strawberry at the plate with 2 out, takes a strike with a tying run. McGee at first base. 2-1 American League 8th inning.
Power against power. Plesac on the radar gun in Anaheim. Clemens at 96. He was at 98, and a hard slider to go with it. 22 saves. Well, what makes this a good play? Also, you have the left-hander versus left-hander, but you also have Willie McGee, who can, with 26 steals, that can run, but is not as liable to run with Plesac on the mound. He may go, but he does not know what kind of move that Dan Plesac has.
And any base runner assumes a left-handed pitcher has a good move. And speaking of good moves.
0-2. That home run by Steinbach made it 1-0. I couldn't tell if it grazed the glove at first. Looked like maybe it just hit the top of the wall, then it might have grazed the glove.
Yeah.
And gone over.
Looks like Darrell may have jumped too high, and the ball hit about wrist high, and the glove was above the fence.
A few years ago, that would have been a double because the fence used to be 12 feet high here. And Strawberry is gone. So Plesac strikes him out, and we go to the ninth with the American League still out in front, 2-1 in Cincinnati.
Any comments on the fight?
Yeah, it proves who the real champion is.
Was it ever close?
It was over before it started.
Think there'll be a rematch?
You think they want one?
How about a shot of the two champs together?
Diet Pepsi's won the title. In head-to-head taste tests, Diet Pepsi challenged and decisively beat Diet Coke.
Mike, how do you feel about sharing your title, huh?
No problem. Just not sharing my Diet Pepsi.
Diet Pepsi, the winner and new champion.
Now, what makes me look so successful? This watch? Well, it's absolutely worthless in a business situation. When I leave the room, it leaves the room. My brochure stays behind. Think about it.
Radio Shack puts the power of business computing in your home and saves you $300. The powerful 286 Tandy 1000. Now only $11.99 including color monitor. You save $300. It's PC compatible, easy to use, comes with 7 ready-to-run programs for the family. To keep a budget, write term papers, or even do filing and create graphics. Complete Tandy 1000 system with color monitor, only $11.99. Only at Radio Shack.
Black Rock, Nevada and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Black Rock means land sailing, riding the wind across dry desert lakes. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer. And smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light.
There's nothing like the flavor of a special place. And Old Milwaukee beer.
Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light.
You know, guys, it doesn't get any better than this.
Yep, that's a shot you'll only see at the All-Star game. Either that or a game that goes into the 23rd inning.
This might be the type of pitch that left-handed hitters hope they only see at the All-Star game. Otherwise, they'd be out of business.
And Plesac getting high five and low five and all the rest as he goes back to the dugout. And we go to the 9th inning in Cincinnati. As the All-Star game moves into the 9th with the Americans on top 2-1, and George Brett comes up to pinch hit, and he'll face Todd Worrell of the St. Louis Cardinals as we start the 9th inning. Two guys that faced each other in the 1985 World Series.
Worrell with 16 saves at 98 miles per hour. I think they're going to have to pass a rule. Only the major league average fastball can pitch in this game, which is about 85. Whew.
Vance Law is also in the game at second base. And there is Vance. Vance, who is one of the half-dozen Cubs, plays third in Chicago, but to get him into the game as Worrell throws a change for a strike, Whitey's got to move Law in at second to replace his teammate Sandberg. One and two the count on Brett. Brett is appearing for the 13th time in a row in All-Star games, but he's been hurt, and so he's only played in 10. He's missed 3. He's been replaced on 3 occasions because of injuries. Pulley was ready to pull up the right hand.
Well, you have an idea of how wide George Brett's such a great hitter. 98 miles per hour, you got to get the bat started. He tried to, then knew it was a ball, or at least assumed it was a ball, and it was. Gives him another chance.
Still 3-2 on Brett.
Robert Wall was the coach in Bull Durham. Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon. You've seen that movie. That was a great flick. Minor league lingo.
Major League pop-up at the Major League All-Star game. Worrell says it's coming down, and Galarraga makes the catch. Boy, was that baby up there a long time. Let's go to Joe Morgan.
Thank you, Al. I'm here with Chris Sabo. Chris, you were not even expected to make the Reds in spring training. You're an all-star now and will probably be National League Rookie of the Year, yet you were embarrassed by the crowd chanting for you. Why?
I don't know. I don't know why they're cheering for me. I just go out there and play every day, and, you know, it was nice, though. I enjoyed it.
All right, back to you, Al.
Sabo shy and unassuming and soft-spoken. Ripken, it's a one-hopper to Bonilla. And Galarraga stays on the bag. Nice play. So 2 down. Larry Barnett, the first base umpire, took a long look at it. Calls him out.
Galarraga's nickname down in Venezuela is the Cat. Cat-like reflexes here as he slides that cat-like paw across the base.
Whitey Herzog says that he reminds him of Gil Hodges. First base, of course, a left-hander's position. But Galarraga plays it like a left-hander, doesn't he? Soft hands.
2 out, bases empty, and Mattingly is the batter. You know, you looked at Sabo and you listened to the interview with Joe Morgan. You wonder, in 3 years, could that guy go to arbitration? Does he look like the kind of guy that would go to arbitration?
Not in representing himself.
Yeah. Mattingly lines one to right field and right at Strawberry. And so the National League comes up in the bottom of the 9th, trailing 2-1.
Listen to the heartbeat. Listen to the heartbeat of America. Oh, yeah.
Moving into more car doesn't have to be expensive or boring. Today's Chevrolet Celebrity is for people who've grown up without growing old.
The heartbeat of America. Yesterday, Chevrolet.
An invitation to tea with golf's royalty. The world's finest golfers will attend. Live exclusive coverage of the British Open begins Saturday on ABC Sports.
Two changes for the American League. Dennis Eckersley having a sensational season out of the A's bullpen. And here's a guy who started the All-Star game in 1982 in Montreal as a member then of the Boston Red Sox, but now the closer. He comes in, and Kurt Stillwell takes over as the shortstop, replacing Ripken. All right, let's get the inside pitch on Eckersley, who'll seek the save from Dave Winfield.
Dennis Eckersley with Oakland has been a starter most of his career with Boston and Cleveland. Made the transition to relief pitcher, has done extremely well this year, probably one of the best comeback stories of the year. He has a lot of confidence, throws over 90 miles per hour, has movement on the ball coming from the side, and you'll see him in there if the game is close tonight.
And Dave was very prescient beforehand. Because here he is.
Close, yes. 26 saves on the year. You know what he said when you start? He says you got to do it 3 or 4 times. He said, I come in now, I trick him once, get my save, and he said, but I still get nervous.
So it's Bonilla, Larkin, and then Parrish due up in the bottom of the 9th inning as Bobby Bonilla takes inside. Bonilla has played the entire game. Tom Kelly trying to guide the American League to a win and beat Herzog again. And Bonilla hits one foul down the line and out of play, and the count is 1-1.
Eckersley, Eckersley with a lot of options. You know, he's got the fastball, as Dave Winfield said, over 90 miles per hour. Changeup we just saw. He tries to backdoor the curveball, or his slurve, as he says. 35 strikeouts in 42 innings and only 6 walks. Only 1 home run all year.
2-1. And interesting, in a game in which, in a way, the baton is passed, the torch is handed down from Mike Schmidt to Bobby Bonilla. Bonilla stays in the entire game and breaks his bat. It's a soft looper caught by Stillwell. And the crowd views that one with mixed emotions. Stillwell, the former Red, traded to Kansas City. One away.
still hoping and wishing and praying that Sabo was still in there.
Absolutely. So they have booed Bonilla the last 2 times, but now the boos to cheers, because here's Larkin with a chance to be a hometown hero in many respects. Strike.
Already hit 10 home runs this year. Bigger than you think. He looks slight, but good power out over the plate.
Overmatched. And the count 0-2. And overmatched again. 2 gone. So Eckersley, an out away from wrapping it up for the American League.
Winfield talked about the fastball, trying to play catch up. Barry Larkin and unable to do that. What goes back 2 weeks ago, what did Ray Miller, the pitching coach in Pittsburgh? You see Eckersley's reaction here. He doesn't get too excited, does he? Ray Miller, pitching coach in Pittsburgh, said throw strikes, work fast, and change speeds. Well, Eckersley hasn't changed speeds too much. He hasn't had to.
Now Parrish takes low, ball 1. So this game winding down with 2 out, bases empty of the 9th inning. The scoring early, the American with single runs in the 3rd and 4th, and the National League run in the bottom of the 4th inning.
Robbie Valentine, one of the coaches, is probably who thought that Eckersley may be scuffing the ball, is saying, scuff one for me now.
At least tonight. 1-2. So the National League down to its final strike. And Whitey on the verge of losing an all-star game for the 3rd time. And that's a hat trick he doesn't want, but he's going to get. Because Kirby Puckett is going to put it away. And the American League wins it by a score of 2-1. So Bobby Doerr, the honorary captain, congratulating Kelly. Dennis Eckersley out of the bullpen to pick up the save. Terry Steinbach, the controversial choice. The Oakland catcher, amidst the fireworks exploding in downtown Cincinnati, winds up as the key man in the game, as the American League with stout pitching and good defense beats the National League 2-1. And we will be back with the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player presentation when we come back to Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati to wrap up the All-Star game.
Hello. Ed's relatives are still with us and have become big fans of our Bartles and James premium wine coolers. His cousin Mason says our Bartles and James Original Premium is the finest product of its kind, bar none. His grandnephew Wyman says he prefers the lively fresh berry taste of our Bartles and James Premium Berry. Well, these James family arguments can get pretty heated, so I'm staying out of it. Thanks for your support.
How do we measure romance?
It's all a question of quantum physics and timing.
What does the future hold?
I believe in long, slow, deep, soft, wet kisses that last 3 days.
Oh, my.
Where do pictures come from?
This is hopeless.
At last, a movie with all the answers. Kevin Costner. Susan Sarandon. Bull Durham. Rated R. Now playing at a theater near you.
When I talked about how we deal with our customers, or any customer I'd have, you get to know them personally. And eventually it becomes a relationship where they're not just a BC company, they're people. They know that I got all these products and these different things behind me, but they are talking to me, Roy Cartwright. And I'm going to sit across the table and I'm going to say, I'm going to take care of you. When you take away all the titles, it's really down to 2 people interfacing with each other.
The 59th All-Star Game, this ABC Sports exclusive, is brought to you by the Heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. By Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light, it doesn't get any better than this. By Warner Brothers' new movie, The Deadpool. And by Coldwell Banker, America's largest full-service real estate company, a member of the Sears Financial Network. So there it is, the totals. The American League winning it 2-1, and in the All-Star game, the rules are different. So Viola only goes 2 innings, but still gets the win. Gooden gets the loss, and as far as the MVP is concerned, well, the presentation now, let's go to Gary Bender.
Al, it's Terry Steinbach, the catcher for the Oakland Athletics. He is the Chevrolet Major League Baseball most valuable player in the All-Star game. And here to present it, the sales manager for the Chevrolet Motor Division, Otto LeBron Jr. Mr. LeBron, let's have the presentation.
Congratulations, Terry. On behalf of Chevrolet Motor Division, I'd like to present you with its Most Valuable Player Award. Super job.
Thank you very much.
Well, Terry, let me ask you. I told you to stick around. You might get this way back when, but let's talk about the home run, your first time at bat in an All-Star game.
Well, you know, I was just going up there. You know, there was so much excitement for me tonight, and just went up there, and I was just going to see the ball and hit it hard. You know, just try not to strike out, basically. And when I got good wood on it, you know, and the ball went out of the park, it was just a highlight of my career.
Looked like Strawberry had a crack at it.
Yeah, he did. You know, when I was rounding first base, I just kind of looked and saw the ball bounce. And, you know, I don't know what happened, if it hit his glove or if it hit the fence, but I saw the umpire wave me around, and I continued running.
It hit the top of the wall. Then you came back with a sacrifice fly, which was the game-winning RBI.
Well, you know, there's a situation Tom Kelly talked about in the clubhouse. Said, you know, you guys are all professionals out here. You know, if a situation comes for, let's say, sacrifice fly or a bunt, you know, just go ahead and do it. So right there, I was just looking to drive in a run. You know, my bases loaded, you know, and only up by 1, and you know, I got a pitch up and, you know, was able to hit a fly ball with it.
Now, a lot of people said, why is Terry Steinbach the starting catcher, that this voting situation is out of hand? You kind of quieted those critics.
Well, you know, I took a lot of heat about that, you know, for about 2 to 3 weeks, and I was just going to come here and play hard, you know, like I said, all the way through this, and hope for the best. And you know, it came out tonight, you know, that I had the home run, had a sac fly, and you know, won the MVP.
It's interesting, isn't it? You start the year with an eye injury, then you have a collision at home plate, but good things are starting to happen to you.
Yeah, they sure are. I hope they continue for us for the second half.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Terry Steinbach, the Chevrolet most valuable player in this All-Star game. Let's go back to Al.
Okay, thank you, Gary. So that's the story from Cincinnati, where the highlight of this bicentennial celebration has been the All-Star game. And tonight's All-Star game, the executive producer has been Jeffrey Mason. Tonight's telecast was produced by Kurt Gowdy Jr. and directed by Craig Janoff. Technical director Mike Blazo. Pre-game show produced by Steve Dans. Our associate directors Earl Fryman and Dave Kiviat. Assistants to the producer Bill Bonnell, Mike Cohen, and Patty Rotoloso. Stats and research Steve Hurt and Alan Roth. Our tech manager Mark Smith. Telecommunications manager Lee Kolinsky. Al Michaels for Jim Palmer. Tim McCarver saying good night from Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, with a reminder that Saturday begins on ABC Sports with live exclusive third-round coverage of the British Open. Then ABC's Wide World of Sports features the U.S. Olympic trials. Carl Lewis, Edwin Moses, Jackie Joyner-Kersee, and more compete as the track and field trials begin, plus the box office live from Las Vegas, Nevada. Stay tuned for a Nightline following your late local news over most of these ABC stations. Tonight's topic, Democratic Party politics. Aerial camera facilities provided by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.
A promotional fee has been paid to ABC by United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies.
This is ABC.